Good evening, everyone. I have really been looking forward to this stream. In fact, it has been way too long for this particular game. This is going to require a little bit of introduction, but I have been really eager to come back to this game, and I've been given lots of great excuses to do so. So, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to be. This is a live stream, so I'm going to be doing that really annoying habit of like not getting to the point for a while. But there is so much to talk about for this particular game, and I would like to let all of you know about some specific updates and details about this. So let me start by jumping into the game. I'm going to talk a bit about my familiarity with this game, which is actually probably longer than you might guess, which is actually going to make the this total lack of knowledge that I have really embarrassing, but I'll cover that as well. There is one thing I just want to double check. So there's actually quite a bit to, I guess, talk about in terms of this game. Okay, good. And I think there's kind of some really interesting behind the scenes stuff to talk about. And then I'll maybe talk about why I'm playing it right now, as well as answering the question that I think a number of you are asking about, which is where's Stellaris? So actually, let's start with that one right away. So I did complete the campaign for Stellaris, and those of you who've got the Twitch notifications enabled, you might be wondering, well, why wasn't I told about this? I did this on YouTube. Now, I did this kind of on the assumption that I did hear from someone that I could get a key for Overlord, which is the new DLC. So I sort of rushed to put an end to the Natraxium Runrunners playthrough. But that was about a 7-hour session that I played. So that's recorded. That's actually currently processing on YouTube right now. So that will be live on YouTube as soon as it's done processing. And for those of you who liked following that series, that will be available there. But I have yet to see the key for Overlord. And the important thing to remember, again, I want to kind of be clear on the key thing, because there's a really easy way for broadcasters to be really entitled about this sort of stuff. Paradox has been kind of ratcheting up the requirements in order to get some keys. And I'm not on like a whitelist or anything like that. So for the last little while, I have basically sort of had to reach out individually to someone and say, here's the deal. I've covered the game since sort of launch. I'd love to continue streaming it. If this kind of aligns with your plans, I'd love to keep doing that. And I've had, very nice exchanges with people. I think they seem to get it. But the important thing to remember is that in the end, it's kind of up to a game developer to decide whether or not it's worth it for them to give out that key. So in this case here, I did make my preparations in order to be able to do Stellaris. I did finish the session, so there's no value in kind of continuing on a game that's already been finished. But because there isn't a key for Overlord, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of reason to do Stellaris. And ultimately, if there isn't a key for that, that will probably mean sort of the end of my Stellaris coverage for a while, which is a bit of a shame. I mean, it's been there for a while, but the thing is that having it used to be a dedicated Paradox Day, and as sort of the games that I had access to was reduced, that's shifted to a strategy day. And more importantly, there's lots of games that I get an offer for a key for, and I sometimes have to turn them down just because I don't think I'll be able to sort of fill the schedule. And so in this particular case here, Hooded Horse reached out with an Old World key, and of course some of you will already know, I am already an Old World player. I actually got this way back in the early days of Epic. And in fact, that was also given for a key, but for other reasons, which I'll maybe try and go into, but I don't want to spend a whole lot of time. So I didn't want to talk too much about the key things, except in a purely positive light. The way to look at this is to say that we've had some extra time with Stellaris, past the point where the viewership numbers were definitely being ratcheted up towards my past what I normally get. Obviously, viewership has also been down over time on my part, which I'd love to change, but I realize that I'm not the only factor inside of that. But I am, ultimately, if I have other opportunities, especially because I think people, if I do Stellaris, are going to want to see the game with all of the DLC. It's leaving me the option to explore some other things. So if I have the opportunity to do more Stellaris, that will continue on Mondays. But because I don't have that access right now, it's an opportunity for me to do Old World, because I was actually going to be adding some extra stream days this week to be able to do this. So, again, I wanted to take the time to just sort of cover why I'm playing a game that's different than what I might have talked about last week. And sorry, the exception. I don't remember if I said hi or I just thought that. So let's talk about Old World. Now, I have been following this game. I'm trying to remember if I heard of Soren Johnson's GDC talk, kind of about the inheritance of sort of genres. So there's a really funny example about somebody sort of justifying Dota 2's denial mechanic to someone. And it's like, I am a Dota 2 fan, and I've really gotten my ability to deny down, but like it's really hard to argue with the logic in that presentation. I don't know if that talk is on YouTube now, but anyways, I'm pretty sure it was a GDC talk. And whether I heard of that talk ahead of time or I knew about the next project that he was doing through Mohawk Games, which at the time was called 10 Crowns. I know I was very interested in it, right? Because, of course, I loved Off-World Trading Company. Soren Johnson himself has his background is Civilization 3. I believe he was an AI programmer, and I think he might have done some design work on it. I know he's definitely a lead on Civilization 4, although I think he did AI as well. And there's a ton of other credits. So I know he did, I think it was the 4X component to Spore. And I'll just mention Off-World because I really liked Off-World Trading Company. But certainly somebody who, in addition to being a very talented game designer, hosts a wonderful podcast called Designer Notes. I think there's also a blog associated with it, but in that case, there's some interviews I particularly remember. For instance, there's a wonderful one with Sid Meier, which is admittedly a bit of an older one. But also Layla Johnson is on this game, and I don't recall if it is also like a co-designer credit or a producer credit. I seem to believe that she's done some writing for some of the events, and I probably should have done my homework a little bit better. I wonder if I've got credits. There we go. CEO and creative director. There we go. And Soren Johnson's design director. So, and of course, I'm falling into that terrible trap of referring to so many people. There's always the danger of kind of letting the auteur theory kind of creep into games. As you can see, there are a number of people that make this game. In fact, there's another community manager, Maddie, not the same Maddie that we know in this stream, who hosts an absolutely wonderful Old World broadcast over on the Mohawk Games Twitch channel. So if you haven't gotten a chance to check that out, I highly recommend it. And I see Amanda Kirk on a lot of updates. So anyways, as you can see, like all of this is intended to be a nice it's a game that I've had on my radar for a while. And then the name was changed to Old World. I don't know if the scope was reduced as well. I don't know if it was always intended to be in sort of the kind of more the ancient period, or if the the timeline sort of shortened down a bit. But time goes by. I finally got a chance to play the game back when it was on Epic, and I quite liked it. The biggest challenge, though, was that when I had played that, and I know some of you will remember me streaming it, this was kind of coincided at the time when there was that big scare in terms of the copyrighted music And unfortunately, there were a couple of songs which invoked sort of a... it wasn't a copyright strike, but it was definitely a big sort of flag on YouTube. So I believe that first video that I did is actually unwatchable in certain regions because of it. And in my opinion, I don't really think that developers should be bending over backwards to make streamers' lives easier. I think, you know, especially in an early access period or like an early development part of the game, you want to focus on making the game as fun and accessible to everyone as possible. And of course, to be able to make it more accessible for broadcasting is nice. But there are other ways of getting around that. So in this particular case here, you know, I wanted to do, you know, my part to sort of be able to... you know, given the feedback where I could and you know, do multiplayer sessions with people and all of that. But as far as broadcasting was concerned, this sort of receded into the background a little bit. Actually, I'm getting the order of things skipped around a little bit. But sorry, I'm really excited to be back to this. So anyways, this was definitely one of these ones where it was kind of always intended to be something I would get back to in terms of stream, and then lots of just things kind of keep jumping in front of the way. Hey, Olaf, how are you doing? I don't remember if you've seen me stream this before or not, but this is... I'm really looking forward to showing you this. Good to see you. So, anyways, the time has come for this, and there's actually a few factors... Thank you very much, Olaf. Nearly 2 years. You are a heck of a guy. Thank you so much. By the way, for those of you who don't know, I believe Christopher Tin may have been a roommate of Soren Johnson's at Stanford. Beautiful soundtrack for, probably most famous for Civilization, both 6 and 4. But I listen to the Off-World Trading Company soundtrack a lot, and the way that the music sort of interacts with what's going on in the game is really impressive. Also, just the introduction to Off-World Trading Company, where it goes from this very... It's not just that you can hear the piano, but you actually hear the movement of the hammers inside of the piano. Like, they kept every little sound detail, and then it slowly becomes electronic. Oh God, there's so much to say about that soundtrack. That's so wonderful. Anyways, I'm sorry, I'm all over the map here. But yeah, so Old World has since gone out of sort of its early access period. It is, you know, actually a game that I'm maybe a little surprised is not more widely talked about, because it got an incredibly warm reception critically. I believe it was sort of a best strategy game on pretty much every list I could see, and very deservingly so, in my opinion. But of course, it is also true that the game has been on the Epic Store for such a long time. And this maybe brings me back to the, you know, following this game for a very long time side of the equation. Because to my understanding, back when this game was 10 crowns, it was going to be published by Starbreeze, which I think a number of you who like to follow this sort of stuff has been undergoing a bit of trouble lately. In fact, not even lately, but it's been a while. And I was actually, personally, I was a bit worried that this game may not be realized. Like, I don't know quite what happens to games that get or maybe not captured, but that get tied up in those kinds of problems, because you have to pay people, you have to get the game done. And obviously Starbreeze was in a lot of trouble. They may still be in trouble, frankly, but it definitely in terms of the game that was previously known as 10 Crowns, like I kind of didn't hear that much about it, and I was worried. So what seems to have happened was the money to buy the game back came from Epic, and that Epic exclusivity. And I don't know if Epic counted as a publisher or quite what the story was. But in any case, this is one of the examples where I know back when I was part of the Epic program, you know, there's definitely a lot of strong opinions about the Epic Store, and I mean, I definitely don't really want to reopen all of those. There's still strong opinions about it. But I think this is a real case here where I was able to say, it's like, you know what, there's something I'm really excited about playing. There's something I'd really like to see made. And here is an example where that money has kind of made something that may not have occurred. Now, again, I don't know the circumstance. I'd love to actually know some more details about exactly the path that this game took to being realized, because certainly, you know, it seems like it was not a straightforward path. But, you know, one way or the other, I was able to say, it's like, you know, it does seem to me like this game, you know, I am able to play this game because of the money that they put in. And so it's hard for me to sort of turn around and say, well, this is, you know, just an objectively bad force in gaming. Like, this is definitely a case where I was able to play something that I was excited about and may not have been able to play otherwise. But it does sort of raise the question in terms of when it was going to be coming to other platforms. And so this brings the last component, which makes me kind of excited to be covering this, which is that this game is now published by a company called Hooded Horse. Now, I believe there is an individual who I've been following on Twitter for a while by the name of Fernando Rizzo. At least that's the Twitter name. I think they're now president at Hooded Horse. So it's always kind of neat just to see the people you're following on Twitter, you know, associated with things that are interesting you. But in addition to the fact that Hooded Horse is publishing Old World, I was probably more excited by them because I found out they were publishing a game called Terra Invicta, which is by Pavonis Interactive. You may know of Pavonis Interactive as one of the as the people who did the Long War mods for the XCOM games. And so in this particular case here, they're a publisher. I don't quite know where they came from. The first I'd heard of them was this connection to Pavonis Interactive, and then of course they're associated with Old World. So I'm like, oh, I'm interested. And basically ever since then, I just keep seeing Hooded Horse associated with all of these other interesting games. Like, I kind of gave the example where it feels like Hooded Horse has become that old puzzle about the lily pad that doubles in size every night, and how many nights does it take before it covers the whole pond. It's kind of turning into that because every single time, whether I'm on the Steam algorithm or whether I'm like looking at their pages, they're actually really good at recommending games on their pages. So, you know, you'll be looking at something like Old World, or you're like, oh yeah, that looks kind of interesting, and then it'll say, oh, by the way, we have this kind of grand strategy, you know, a Cold War, a Cold War espionage game that we're going to be publishing as well. I'm like, tell me more. I liked Twilight Struggle. So. Yeah, I mean, it's just, this is a nice little convergence of a number of things going on. So personally, I'm really interested in Hooded Horse. I'd love to know a bit more. Obviously, I'm kind of narrow in terms of my interests on some of the business sides of these things. I'm kind of interested in knowing where Hooded Horse came from. It seems that they've got a very clear idea of what kind of game they want to do. They seem to be finding a lot of really interesting projects, and it looks like they're going to be going into our hands over the next couple of years. And on top of that, I got a key. So I was offered a key for Old World. I'm actually playing my old Epic copy of this game still, but I will sort of do the conversion. So I think it's still fair to say here that I should be saying, you know, I was offered a key for promotional purposes from Hooded Horse. But obviously, you know, a publisher that I've been very excited by to sort of reach out and say, it's like, hey, would you like to do Old World? I'm like, well, you've already captured me, but yes, this is a wonderful opportunity to do this. And more importantly, to that original thing that kept me from streaming a little bit longer than I should have, there is now a sort of a streamer helper to sort of minimize the number of copyright claims and such. So this also means that most of you will actually be able to watch this video after all of that's done. So like I said, I think, Soren Johnson and Layla Johnson, excellent hosts of the Designer Notes podcast. I learn a lot from it. I'm not a practitioner, but I think it's really interesting to hear a lot of the, a lot of the conversations with designers. It's obviously a game that I've been looking into for a long time. It's now combined with a publisher that I think is doing some really interesting things. And more importantly, it's a strategy game, which I'm really hoping, kind of gets a second wind and more people are aware of with the impending release on May the 19th. And of course, for those of you who are already Old World players, the May 19th release will also be associated with the next sort of expansion to the game, which is Heroes of the Aegean, which will be covering sort of everything from Marathon and Thermopylae. I think it might even go as far as the Peloponnesian War. I'm not 100% sure where all of it's going. So again, a really, really long introduction to all of this, but I wanted to try and cover why I was so enthusiastic. Last thing I was going to say before we jump into the game, or we'll actually do the tutorials first, because I'm also ashamed to admit that it's been a long time, and when I jumped into the game again, there was a moment where I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember what some of this stuff does. And then I think I remember like being able to get ridiculously far on the map using the order system. And I think they've made a couple of changes to that, which I counted on a little bit. So I figured, okay, let's just go back to the tutorials. And then after I did about 3 of them, I was like, well, why don't I just do the tutorials on stream? Because that'll give people an idea of whether or not it's for them. But one thing that I did want to say about the music is that one of my little Apple Music's kind of secret playlists, I really like listening to the Sacred Sounds playlist. And also, it's not always included inside of it, but I also like listening to Byzantine hymns, or Byzantine chants. And there's a lot of that style in this game. So hopefully muting some of this doesn't remove the songs that I particularly like. But yeah, I'm gonna stop stumbling over myself. I will offer just another thank you to Hooded Horse. Again, it's starting off in a situation where it's like, well, it's kind of a shame that something I'd done for a while, I may not be able to do the keys for anymore. To have a publisher that I'm really interested in sort of reach out to cover a game that I'm very fond of, that's a very happy bit of news. And obviously I know those are similar circumstances under which sort of I got in touch with Brace Yourself. And that of course led to a wonderful long period of time with some really good games. So let's follow in the similar spirit. So I'm going to do Learn to Play. Now you'll notice some check marks here already. So some of this is going to be really basic, but I think it's best to just sort of start from here. I'll try and not spend too much time on the tutorials and such. But it's basically, this is twofold. One, I actually think there's some value in showing people how the game onboards you, because one thing that I've always gotten as a bit of feedback when I do a 4X style game like Civilization or Endless Space or something like that is people will very often say that they find games like this quite intimidating. And particularly in terms of my broadcast, I don't think people necessarily watch for skill, but they will watch to try and get a grip of things, or at the very least kind of have them be demystified. So if I can help with that, I think that's a good thing. That means that there's more people to play Old World with and more people to appreciate Old World. But second of all, I think if nothing else, it also maybe gives you a little bit of confidence if you're on the fence about this game to sort of see how the game thinks it should be played. And then of course we'll maybe add some adjustments to it as we find some better opportunities. But I'm also going to be completely honest with you. I think I've forgotten a lot more than I want to admit for this game, so I do need the refresher. Old World takes place in classical antiquity, focused around the Mediterranean Sea in the Middle East, where you lead one of 7 nations who left their mark on history. You will begin with a single settler and must forge an empire in a world filled with already developed nations. This is a series of tutorials to help you learn the basics of Old World. These tutorials will not cover everything in the game, but will walk you through the basics of ruling your nation. Pop-up windows will present the information you need to get started. Along the way, you will be given goals to accomplish. Completing these goals will give you practical experience in leading a nation. The first tutorial teaches the basics of unit movement and scouting the map. The second tutorial takes you through the founding of your capital, growing your nation to 3 cities, and starting a rural-based economy. The third tutorial covers characters, opinion and influence, religion, and building an army. The fourth tutorial introduces concepts to help you rule your nation, culminating in a war against a tribe. And the fifth and final tutorial will pitch you against Rome as you scout them out, capture their cities, and destroy their army. Alright, tutorial 1, the Old World. I think this winds up being the same. Oh, nope. Okay, we'll read this again. Old World takes place in classical antiquity, focused around the Mediterranean Sea in the Middle East, where you lead one of 7 nations who left their mark on history. You will begin with a single settler and must forge an empire in a world filled with already developed nations. This is the first in a series of tutorials to help you learn the basics of Old World. These tutorials will not cover everything in the game, but will walk you through the basics of ruling your nation. Pop-up windows will present the information you need to get started. Along the way, you will be given goals to accomplish. Completing these goals will give you practical experience leading a nation. Click the green Start Game button to proceed. I can't remember which of these winds up giving new information, so sorry for all the repetition. The first of many turns. Oh, I forgot to put this on the SSD. Sorry, the load times will probably be a little later than they need to be. In Old World, you will explore the map with scouts, expand your nation by founding cities on city sites, exploit harvestable resources and luxuries, and recruit armies to exterminate rival nations and tribes, or negotiate and trade with them. It's your choice. Click the button at the bottom of this pop-up window. I am ready to explore the Old World. Well done. Now let's cover the essential items you need to know to be able to complete these tutorials. The menu button, where you can exit the game, is at the top left, the 3 horizontal lines. Does anybody else have this called the hamburger menu sometimes? I heard that for the first time, like, 2 months ago. I haven't had a hamburger that looks like that, but anyways. Tutorial goals will be displayed at the top right so that you can refer to them easily when you get them. The mini-map is in the bottom right. The cycle button is at the bottom left and will show you any actions you have left to make one by one. When all actions have been cycled through, the cycle button will show the end year, and clicking it will proceed to the next turn. The buttons above the cycle button allow you to cycle through specific categories, being events, civilian units, military units, scouts, and cities. The final button, the check mark, is an end year button which you can use if you completed all the actions you wish to perform this turn. To move the map, hold the left mouse button down and move the mouse to move the map. Or, if playing in full screen mode, move the mouse cursor to the edge of the screen to make the map scroll in that direction. Zoom in and out using the middle mouse button wheel. Click the button at the bottom of this pop-up to continue. I know the Old World essentials. Orders are an important feature of Old World. Units can move multiple times each turn, but each move consumes 1 order. Other actions, such as attacking or building, also consume orders. Your available orders can be seen in the lower left corner in the leader panel beside the scroll icon. The concentric blue rings around a selected unit represent the number of orders required to move a given distance. Each line passed means another order consumed to reach the destination. The rate at which you produce orders each turn is determined by your leader's legitimacy, but can also be augmented by certain improvements. You may also buy and sell orders by clicking the scroll icon in the leader panel. Orders production rates scale with the difficulty level. Note that if you do not use all your orders in a turn, it does not matter. Excess orders are sold off for money after you finish your turn. Let's issue some orders. Select the scout on the map by left-clicking them. Note that this goal, as with all goals, will be shown in the top right screen once you click the button below. I will select the scout. Scouts have a longer range of vision and higher movement speed than other units, making them perfect for exploring the map. When your scout is on a hill, it can see further, but its vision range is reduced by trees. A scout is hidden when they are on a tile with trees, making them great at checking what your enemies are up to. The terrain your units move over will also have an impact on how far they can move each turn. Hills, sand, crossing a river, scrub, and trees all add an extra movement point. Rivers within your borders only require 2/3 of a movement point. Roads within your borders, or unclaimed land, only require 2/3 of a movement point. Let's explore this valley, shall we? Move the scout to the north and cross the river by right-clicking any red highlighted tiles while the scout is selected. I will move my scout north across the river. So we get our pick basically anywhere here. Remember how it was talking about the order system. So in this case, as you can see, if we go past this little blue line here onto the hill, it does actually cost us an extra order. So in this case, we'll just go for the one. I do want to go on the hills, but in this case, we'll just consume the 1 order to fulfill the requirement. When starting a new game in Old World, the map is as yet unexplored. The many dark corners of the world and the secrets contained therein await your discovery. Send out your scout to peel back the fog and uncover mysterious ruins, hostile barbarians, a multiplicity of tribes and other nations, and various exotic creeds that you might adopt as your state religion. Rumor has it that foul barbarians are encamped at the end of this valley. Send your scout north to confirm these suspicions. Remember, each concentric blue ring around the unit indicates an order. When scouting, it is a good idea to only move up to the first blue ring each time so that you can react to things that you uncover that were hidden in the fog. I will use my scout to explore north up the valley. Okay, so remembering here, this will make us hidden. And this, so I was talking about this a little bit earlier. So there's this, and again, I don't 100% remember how this mechanic works, or it may have just changed. But you do have a training rate, and there is a forced march option. So in this case, I believe I have 3 orders left over. But this scout I've already used up all of their moves. So in this case, I would be able to spend some of my military resources to try and move them even further if I had access to them and I thought that it was important. In this case, though, I'll just end the year and we'll cash in the orders. Okay, so again, our goal, as the game is sort of stated, is to get to find the barbarians. Harvesting. You spot some ore on a hill in the distance. Ore can be turned into iron by a mine, which can in turn be used to train warriors in a city. But first, we need to find a city site to build a city on. If the rumor of barbarians being encamped at the end of the valley is true, some warriors would be handy to have. Scouts can spend an order to harvest yields from a harvestable resource. To do so, click the basket button in the action panel on the left while your scout is selected and standing on harvestable resources. I will use my scout to harvest the ore. Now, one thing I really liked about this system, so there's a couple things that are neat about this. I do tend to find in games like Civilization, sometimes I'll run into a situation where I invest a lot in scouts because being able to see what's going on is important. But then there's the challenge of, like, what do you do with them afterwards? Sometimes you can upgrade them to military units, but maybe you don't want that type of military unit. Like, there can be a lot of reasons why scouts are, kind of a drag to have, or at the very least they become a little bit of a liability and you need to figure out what to do with them. I mean, and sometimes I just wind up automating them, which is maybe not, like, you sometimes kind of wonder, like, is it their value in including this thing if all you're going to do is just automate it away? Now, what's kind of neat here is that you've got this collection idea. So basically, when you have resources in regions that you can't, that you don't necessarily have within your borders, this gives you something that you can do with your scouts. Even if you've explored the whole map, you can still sort of cycle them around and gain some, not just the vision on the enemy, but you would be able to kind of get some material wealth. So again, if you're not militarily focused, there's still something for your scouts to do. And I thought that was kind of a neat idea. It might just be that I'm not familiar with some of the developments in 4X games, but I don't really think I've seen this in another game that I've played, but I like the touch quite a bit. Alright, your scout has harvested some ore. It may take a few turns for the tutorial gods to train some warriors for you. Continue exploring the valley with your scout. I will use my scout to continue exploring the valley. The other thing that's kind of neat about this is that some of you who play Civilization might know, like, I'll actually confess, I tend to take the recommendations for a lot of games for granted. So the game kind of winds up playing itself. And that's true for this game as well. But one of the things that's kind of neat about this one is that, unlike Civilization, which will tell you, well, basically it'll give you a scout and you're sort of like, well, you can, or not a scout, a settler. It's like, well, you can build wherever you want. Good luck. In this case here, the sites to found a city are a scarce resource. It's something that you can fight over. So you're not just fighting over the resources in a region. And it's not just sort of that you have, borders with your neighbors and maybe you're kind of mad that they're growing a bit faster than you. But in this particular case here, it's the fact that it's the existence of the city in the first place. It's not just kind of the practicalities of the fact that they're taking stuff that you wanted, but just simply the existence of the city in the first place is established by that ownership of that site, which I kind of think makes things interesting. Anyways, we'll carry on, try to find the barbarians. Your scout has revealed a barbarian hovel on the riverbank. The lush countryside surrounding the camp would be ideal for your new capital, if only these pesky barbarians weren't in the way. Fortunately, the tutorial guards have used the ore that you harvested to train some warriors. Normally, you would train units in a city. The warrior is a melee unit, and thus must be adjacent to an enemy unit to attack it. Click the warrior with the left mouse button to select it, and then right-click on the red highlighted tile next to the barbarian camp to move there. Finally, with the warrior selected, right-click on the camp to attack it. You may continue to explore with your scout, just be careful not to get too close to the barbarians with your scout in case they attack, since your scout cannot fight back. I will attack the barbarians with my warrior. Okay, let's take the warrior. Now, one thing that I've definitely learned in this game with the order system, we've got plenty as far as orders are concerned, so I'm not really concerned here, but I do tend to find it kind of easy. Felix Bigley, thank you very much for the follow. One thing that I do tend to find with this game is it's because I'm so used to just sort of running around doing whatever I want in a game like this. The order system can kind of creep up on you if you're unfamiliar with it. So the order in which I do things, like it kind of matters, and it's one of these things that I need to kind of consciously remind myself of. So, you know, where I would maybe be moving the scout around wherever I want here, it's like my actual priority right now is to get this attack in. And so I want to, even though the scout was selected, I actually want to move the warrior first. And it's the first tutorial, for crying out loud. So you don't need to like unpack that a whole lot, but it's good to get those habits early, because I don't know. Well, you'll see. I guarantee you I'm going to make a stupid mistake as far as my orders are concerned, and we can all remember this moment and laugh. But like I said, it's good to get those habits in place where you can. Okay, this is one thing. It'll tell you kind of the... I don't know if this is an expected outcome or if this is determined. I don't check this stuff as narrowly, but in any case, we'll do as instructed. We'll right-click. You've dealt them some damage, but these barbarians aren't done yet. In fact, they appear to be occupying a city site. The map is full of city sites, which are the only locations where settlers can found new cities. Claim a city site for your nation by simply moving a unit onto it. You must defeat the barbarians before claiming the city site. Your warrior may only attack once per turn, so it'll take a few turns to defeat the barbarians. The barbarians can, of course, attack you on their turn. Your warrior has already attacked this turn and is now on cooldown. Continue exploring with your scout and proceed to attack each turn with your warrior until you defeat the barbarians and take control of the city-state. I will defeat the barbarians and occupy the city-state. So, of course, as instructed, we don't want to get too close to the city. But I will happily check out the surrounding area. All right. We got it. By the way, I know it's a minor point, but I actually really like the edge of the map, the thunder. It's a nice little touch. Like both visually as a reminder that you're at the limit, without like putting like a hard line there, but it just looks cool. Okay. Victory! Ave Imperator! You have defeated the barbarians and taken control of the city site. In this tutorial, we covered the basics of moving and attacking with units, map exploration, and city sites. In the next tutorial, you will found your capital and get your economy up and running. Alright, a place to live. This is the second in a series of tutorials to help you learn the basics of Old World. These tutorials will not cover everything in the game, but will walk you through the basics of ruling your nation. In this tutorial, you will begin at the site of your successful battle with the barbarians from Tutorial 1. You will found your capital city on the city site and build up a basic economy. So opinion will be covered in the third tutorial. Hello, Philip of Greece. You are the leader of your nation, or what will be your nation. You begin this tutorial with a city site you captured in the last tutorial. Your task is to found your capital and expand to 3 cities. You will develop a basic economy and research some technologies. You will also promote a unit, assign a general to the unit, and then lead that unit into battle. Philip, you are ready to found Greece, build a nation. Are you ready to found Greece, build a nation, and write your legacy? I am ready to start building a nation. The capital is an important economic and government hub at the heart of your nation. Families are leading clans of your empire, with different dispositions and conflicting interests. They are granted control of your cities, for which their particular bonuses are important to consider. You are currently playing as Philip, ruler of Greece. Greece has and my apologies, I am not very good at my classical pronunciation, so I think it's Argead, Cypselid, Seleucid, and Alcmeonid families. When your settler is selected, hover over the family action buttons to learn what effects they apply to your cities. You may only choose 3 of the 4 families in any one game, so choose wisely. Now let's found our capital. Choose the settler and click on any of the families. I will found the Greek capital. All right, settler. So in this case, we can. So I think the best way that I can kind of break this down here. So there's always the question mark. One of the things that you can notice here. Obviously, the tutorial is focused on Greece. You know, we got Val Kilmer here, for those of you who loved that Oliver Stone movie with Colin Farrell. But in this case here, the way that you can break it down, if the names are particularly... So one of the things that I really like about these games is that I will be exposed to history that maybe I'm unfamiliar with, or I don't... Like, one of the things that's the best about this, and this is definitely the reason why Civilization continues to be something that I keep coming back to in my fondest gaming memories, is that was kind of the first time I learned about certain parts of history. You know, there's only so many times that you can encounter something new or unusual and not go and look it up. And whether that's inside the Civilopedia or whether you just go and look things up on your own, you know, you don't have to. But it's definitely a fun way to engage with these games. And so as a result, that even comes right down to some of the choices. So, for instance, to know some of these names, you know, you can, especially if it's something that you're not familiar with. So if you're going to play, let's say, like Babylon, chances are that's maybe not going to be as immediately familiar as, say, Greece or Rome. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with being interested in Greece or Rome. I think there's a whole lot of history, and a lot of it is incredibly interesting. But obviously, if you keep playing things that are outside of your comfort zone, number one, it's much more interesting, but number two, you start running into the unfamiliar, and you can sort of look them up. But of course, the other drawback is that sometimes you just want to get on with it. Sometimes you just want to be able to play the game and make a specific mechanical decision. And so in this case here, the breakdown would be champions, artisans, patrons, or sages. And of course, if you hover over the question mark, it will tell you what they can do. So champions excel at military matters. Their cities have strong defense and train military units quickly. Any unit trained as champions, city will be steadfast. The first city founded by a champion's family, their family seat will be granted a garrison, letting you immediately assign a governor. So here's a tip that I can offer here. If you, I believe, hold down the shift key, you can actually mouse over some of these concepts. I notice here, right, so I left-clicked here, and in this case I can now sort of mouse over the other mouse over elements. So in this case here, if you want to sort of break down mechanically, there is a manual for this game, and there's lots of help that it will offer you. But if you particularly want to understand a given concept, right, so when it comes down to champions, there's a lot here, and maybe you're not necessarily going to know. It's like, wait, family seat, what's that? Well, you can mouse over and it will tell you. And again, you just do either the shift or the left click to see what's going on. But in this case here, I think the original. So for me, like the original write-up is fine for me here. This is military focused. Next one would be artisans. Artisans generate extra culture and receive a significant bonus to mines and lumber mills. They are a good choice for areas with many hills and trees. The artisan family seat is granted a free worker, and urban improvements for that city are built more quickly. Patrons are focused on culture and specialists. Their cities produce extra civics, which allows them to train specialists more quickly. While each specialist in turn increases that patron city's culture yield, the patron family seat also grants a free court minister. And finally, sages. Sage cities are focused on science and specialists. Their cities produce extra civics, which helps them build specialists more quickly. Each specialist in turn increases the sage city's science yield. The sage family seat is able to hold inquiries, which speed up research considerably. So there are going to be a couple of things that I do. The game did explain culture and civics, but let's just take a quick second here so that we can make maybe a slightly more informed decision in terms of the trade-offs. So here we've got artisans. Now, I just can read the, I can just kind of read the description already, right? So it says, it's good near mines and lumber mills. Well, we've got a potential mine here. We've got wood, so this definitely seems to be very builder and growth focused, and this seems to be a good candidate for that. But we can also maybe just take a quick look here and say, it's like, okay, so I'm trying to decide between maybe something like the Cypselid, the Seleucid, or the Alcmeonid. Let's just say that we'll leave the champions aside for now. And again, maybe I should just say artisans, patrons, or sages, and I'll see if I can get my my classics prof to give me a quick rundown of the proper names, or proper pronunciations at least. But in this case here, we can inform ourselves. And again, this is just stressing the fact that this game, it gives you in context the tools that you need if you want to dig into it. And of course, it's low pressure right now, so now's not a bad time for us to actually take a look and see whether these are the things that we expect them to be. So culture, when a city's culture bar fills up, a positive event occurs, and the city's overall culture level increases. The 4 culture levels are weak, developing, strong, and legendary. Culture level affects which improvements and wonders can be built in a city's territory and whether the city can hurry production, which requires at least developing culture. That's the second tier. Cities with higher culture levels also cost additional food, iron, stone, and wood per population. Ways to increase a city's culture yield include building shrines and odeons, training certain specialists, and spreading a religion to a city and adopting certain laws such as epics. So let's contrast that with patrons, where it says here it is focused on culture, right? So we might say, well, what's the difference between an artisan and a patron? But it does say here that the big bonus is extra civics. So what does civics give us? Cities produce specialists and projects with their civics. Unused civics go into the global stockpile, which can be used to enact laws, establish theologies, construct wonders, hurry production, perform missions like influence, and other uses. You can stockpile a maximum of 2,000 civics, with excess converted into science. Increase civics by training stonecutters and establishing forums. Members of your court with high charisma also contribute to the global civics stockpile. So this is kind of an interesting little trade-off, right? So in one sense, we've got something that's very focused on the acquisition of resources. So in this particular case here, we've got mines and lumber mills. Well, there's a reasonable argument that we would have a mine and a lumber mill built based on this territory. On the other hand, now that we have this idea of sort of civics being associated with getting things done, we might note that the ability to build things very rapidly might outpace the benefit from getting a bonus towards mines. And then in this case, I've kind of eliminated the possibility of research in here. But in this case here, I am actually going to go for the artisans. And actually, I'm curious if I mouse over. So it tells us mechanically what they do. I wonder if So I just want to see if it has any history in this, or if that's left for another. Okay, so looks like if you want to learn more about these names, you're gonna have to go search for that on your own. Okay, anyways, I really made a meal out of this, so Technology. Now that you've founded your capital, your people have a place to generate science. Science is spent on researching technologies, which unlock improvements, units, and other items. Technology works like a card deck. You will be dealt some technology cards from the top of the draw pile and may choose one card to research. The technology cards not chosen are then placed in the discard pile. Any new technology cards unlocked in the technology tree also get placed in the discard pile. Once the draw pile is empty, the cards in the discard pile are shuffled and put back in the draw pile. You may see what technology cards are in each pile by hovering over the card icon at the bottom left of the Choose Research window. As you research further into the technology tree, you will need to generate more and more science to research technologies. It is important to not let other nations get too far ahead, or at all, since they will gain access to stronger and better units before you. Now let's choose the first technology to research. Your technology hand will be shown next. Choose one of the 3 technology cards from your hand after viewing the options. The technologies you do not choose will go to the discard pile. Now, I don't know, again, my gaming experience here is probably a bit more limited than some of the things that would have influenced this, but I'm wondering if this is a little bit like Twilight Struggle, which I know I mentioned before. There's this neat system that Twilight Struggle has where there's a strategy that you can get in terms of playing certain cards or not playing cards at certain times because new cards get shuffled into the deck. And so based on when things get shuffled back in, you can sort of delay a really advantageous card to an opponent. Now that's obviously a little different here, but I'm wondering if this is just sort of an accepted thing for games or if that was an inspiration. I'll choose a technology to research. So again, what the game told us here, this is actually really helpful, by the way. If you notice, when you mouse over, it'll tell you what's available, draw pile and discard pile. So in this case, Stone Boost, Husbandry, Labor Force, and Polis will not be available to us until we exhaust our hand. So we can take a quick look here. The game will make recommendations. So in this case, recommended, this early tech unlocks slingers, a ranged unit able to attack from a distance, and camps, a diverse improvement that provides essential orders when built on camels or elephants, or helps improve your city with growth or culture when built on game or fur respectively. We could do Divination. Divination grants the ability to build various shrines, one for each of your nation's 4 pagan gods. The first shrine built on your territory will found your nation's pagan religion, and each shrine built will increase the opinion of the religion and its followers towards you. Characters and families will convert to your pagan religion. Finally, Administration. Administration allows for the improvement of your cities through the construction of granaries, which increase the growth and boost the food output of adjacent farms. And the Treasury, an upgradable project that provides cities with a steady income of money. So obviously all of this is valuable. All of these take the same period of time. I think in this case I'm going to go for the recommendation. I don't know if we'll make much I don't know if we'll take advantage of the camp. But in this case, in the tutorial, I think it makes sense to go for recommended draws. The worker is used to build infrastructure in your nation. You will need many workers to support your nation's economy. As a suggestion, you should consider whether at least one worker per city, and a few extras to build roads or assist where needed. There are 2 main types of improvements, rural and urban. Rural improvements include farms, mines, quarries, and others. Rural improvements may be built on any non-urban tile and provide yields to your city. Resources such as wheat and ore provide bonuses when the correct improvement is built on them, and a specialist is built to work the improvement. Mountain ranges provide a bonus to any quarry built adjacent to them. Urban improvements include the barracks, Odeon, and others. Urban improvements will expand your urban area by transforming the terrain underneath to urban. An urban improvement may also have a specialist, which gives your city extra bonuses. An urban specialist may be raised from apprentice to master and finally to elder. Each level increases the bonuses the city receives from the urban improvement. Let's start by building the economy of our capital by building some rural improvements. To the north is a wheat tile. Move your worker onto the wheat tile to build a farm from the list of improvements in the action panel on the left of the screen. Improvements take a few turns to complete, during which time your worker will use 1 order per turn until the improvement is finished. Note that your worker has a hammer banner, your warrior has a sword banner, and your scout has an eyeglass banner. I'll build a farm with my worker. This is the farm that they're referring to. They have a couple of options in terms of building here. You can go on the left-hand side and hit the button here, or you can just, when you're working with a recommendation, there will actually be the button up here as well, so you don't necessarily need to refer to the left-hand side of the screen. So I could go down all the details of this case, but we're just going to follow what the game sort of tells. Click the next unit button on the bottom of the screen to move to the next unit. Training is generated by your nation and spent on improving your units. A promotion is a great way to strengthen a unit. A unit may have more than one promotion depending on how much battle experience the unit has. Each promotion enhances a unit's abilities in some way. For example, Guard 1 improves a unit's defensive strength. Let's give the warrior a promotion using some of your training stockpile. Select the warrior and use the action panel in the top left of the screen, expand the promotion menu, and then select one. I will give my warrior a promotion using training. So we can go for Combat, Guard, Highlander, or Brave. I kind of feel like we're going to be using this to... I feel like we're going to be using this to kind of take out other barbarians. Well, no, sorry, I've done this tutorial, so I will almost certainly do that. So we'll do Brave in this case. The world around your city is mostly unknown to you. What lies beyond the boundary of sight is a mystery. Scouts are great explorers, able to move and see a little further than other units. You have heard a rumor of another barbarian camp to the east. Use your scout to explore to the east, where a city site is rumored to be. East is to the right of your capital. I will explore to the east with my scout. So we'll follow the recommendation that it made to only go to the edge of our... So under normal circumstances, I probably wouldn't end a turn like this because, of course, the barbarians are waiting for me in the fog of war here. I'm hooped. But normally I'd keep it in here. But in this case, it's not that big of a deal. Your warrior has been promoted. Promotions are a great way to improve the abilities of your units. Generals also give extra abilities to units. A character, such as Philip, can be assigned as a general to a unit, contributing their unique bonuses to the unit. Assign a general by selecting a unit and then clicking the Add General button in the action panel on the left. A general, with the exception of the leader, who may be added to any unit, must be from the same family as the unit. Select your warrior and add Philip as a general. I promoted my warrior and will now add Philip as a general. All right, so that costs us 100 of the military stockpile, and we'll choose it. So gains XP from combat as leader, +1 move per order, better attack strength, better XP per year, 20 attack and defense strength if the same unit is adjacent, which obviously they're alone, so that's not going to apply, and better attack strength if flanking. You've now given your warrior a promotion and assigned Philip as general. Your warrior is now trained and ready for battle. As your warrior is currently on cooldown from adding a general, you next turn use it to capture the city site in the east. Note, adding a promotion or general puts your unit on cooldown. In future, you will be able to move your unit before adding a promotion or general. While you had to add a promotion and general to your warrior at the start of this tutorial, you may decide to delay these actions till later when your amount of training is higher. I've added Philip as a general. Now my warrior is ready to capture the city site to the east. So I have some leftover moves, so we'll harvest the wheat here. Not bad to just reinforce the knowledge that we got earlier. You receive a message that your scout has arrived at the rumored barbarian camp. There is lots of activity in the camp, plus a marauder guarding. Continue exploring with your scout to map out all of the eastern area. Use the trees near the barbarian camp to hide your scout so that the marauder is not able to see and thus attack them. Prepare your warrior to defeat the barbarian camp by completing the warrior goals. I will make sure that my warrior has a promotion and a general. Alright, so again, we don't want to move the scout beside the barbarians, but we can sort of see what's in the overall area. Actually, grab some gold. So of course, this probably would leave us open to attack in this case, but... Alright, we're... So these guys want to fight. I'm not too worried about running around with them. Hey, how you doing, Vlor? I'm doing quite well. I don't know if you've ever heard of Old World before, but this is a really interesting 4X strategy game. It's been available for quite some time on the Epic Store, but it's coming to Steam and GOG on the 19th, and Hooded Horse was kind enough to well, they're kind enough to give me a key. I mean, I'm happy to have a Steam copy of the game, and I am looking forward to doing Heroes of the Aegean. But the real benefit here was just a chance. Number one, actually, let me just be clear. They're incredibly pleasant to talk to in email. That's not always guaranteed, especially because, as we know, I'm a small fry, right? And I talk a lot, so it's a unique kind of broadcast to interact with. Maddie's obviously affiliated with Mohawk, but if you've ever watched the Mohawk channel, right, it's a lot of fun to watch them do their streams. If you, I incidentally do recommend, if you haven't, if you like the strategy stuff that I play and you haven't checked it out yet, definitely follow the Hooded Horse account, but also the Mohawk Games account, because for God's sake, if you've not played Offworld Trading Company yet, do so. That's a really amazing game. So overall, just it's a chance for me to connect with a lot of stuff I'm really interested in, and of course the whole reason I like streaming is to be able to show off cool stuff to you. So I don't know. Had you heard of this game before, Enemy of Lore? You've now built a farm on the wheat tile. Building a farm will contribute food to your stockpile every turn. To the south of the capital, there is an ore tile. Build a mine on the ore tile to produce iron. So that's the ore tile they're talking about. You had your eyes on it, but you have a strong GOG-only mentality, so I'm glad it's coming over. Yes, so the 19th, and that will coincide with the release of the sort of next expansion, the Heroes of the Aegean. So if you like your Greeks... Sorry, I'm failing that rule I said of priorities. We want to take out the barbarians first. But yeah, on Thursday you're gonna be covered. Landmark discovered Etna, which I believe it was Empedocles. Okay, so for those of you, I tend to notice that for the most part, if you say that you are interested in the ancient world online, you are going to generally run into people who have a level of interest that will just eclipse anything you can hope to know. And if you get something wrong, they will kind of let you know in all capital letters to kind of remind you of how wrong you are. With that in mind, if this is Mount Etna, the one that I'm thinking of, I believe... So there's for those of you who don't know, there is a source for a lot of our knowledge of classical philosophers who otherwise sort of their writings did not survive to us, from a writer named Diogenes Laertius. Now, this is not the same Diogenes you would have heard of, who lived in like a wine barrel and, told Alexander to get out of his sunshine and all of that. Although he's also an awesome Diogenes. Diogenes Laertius, basically, this isn't actually what happened, but this is not a bad way of looking at it. You can think of Diogenes Laertius almost as being like the notes somebody took down learning philosophy, or learning the subject, and through the quirk of history, that is how a lot of the stuff that we know sort of survived and is passed down to us. So for those of you who are still in school, please take very good notes, because you never know, and make sure that you have really durable inks and all of that. But one of the things that's great about reading Diogenes Laertius, there's a somewhat new edition that was recently put out, and actually one of my old profs recommended to me. Actually, it's a very young prof, but former prof might be the better way of putting it. Recommended it to me. One of the things that's great about Diogenes Laertius is that the stories are full of ironic deaths. Now, chances are these didn't actually happen. And I can't remember if this account of Empedocles' death is in Diogenes Laertius, or if that's from another source. But basically, you can kind of see this pre-Socratic philosophy, Empedocles, from what I understand, from what I understood, definitely very finely dressed, sort of a very big sort of kind of cult figure. And in order to convince people, the version that we've heard, which again probably isn't true, to convince people that he was a god, sort of knew the end was coming, but to convince people that he was a god, he leapt into the volcano in Mount Etna. But apparently one of his bronze sandals was spat out by the volcano, and that's kind of how everyone knew that instead of him ascending to godhood, he just threw himself into the volcano. That's one of the versions that we've heard of his death. Again, this is almost certainly not true, but is kind of an example. I believe there are actually some paintings of him jumping into the volcano. But in any case, if you do want to learn a little bit more about ancient philosophy, Hellenistic philosophy at least, obviously ancient philosophy is not limited to the Mediterranean, but if you want to learn a little bit more about this and actually have a good chuckle while reading some of this, tell you what, let me just find that book actually. I'll tell you the translation that I've got. It's Pamela Mensch did this translation. It's published by Oxford University Press. It's a nice big book. It's got like lots of so it also has like a bunch of images with it. So whether it's historically relevant or there's a number of criteria for it, but it also has a number of good sort of essays and commentaries with it. So I think it's a very readable copy of oh yeah, sorry. The title is "The Lives of Eminent Philosophers" by Diogenes Laertius, Diogenes Laertius. Pamela Mensch, Pamela-Mensch, published by Oxford University Press. And in addition to the fact that I think it's quite readable and enjoyable, it's a fairly decent. I mean, I'm not in a position to say that it's a decent scholarly work. Like Again, this is the phenomena of people letting you know in all capital letters what a jerk you are. But it will have some essays accompanying it to talk to you. And one of the ones I like, actually, is specifically referring to Laertius' use of humor. As I was saying, some of those ironic deaths. So, in any case, now I'm going to feel like a big idiot if it turns out there is another Mount Etna. But I'm assuming that this is this particular... This is the same one, so presumably if we watch long enough, we will see Empedocles leap into it. Okay, let's start with our attack. You've captured the eastern city site. To retain control of the city site, you need to keep one of your units on the central city tile. You will know who has control of a city site, as the nation's name will be displayed on the tile. When your capital finishes building a settler, move it to the city site and found your second city. I have captured the eastern city site and will move my settler there to found a city. So clearly we're not going to have enough time to get the settler there in one go, but we have other things we can do anyway. Can I? I didn't even think that I could get marble from these. Okay. You've completed a settler in the capital. Move it towards the eastern city site. The old world is full of barbarians. It is a good idea to have a number of units to defend your nation. To help with this, build a warrior in your city. To build a warrior, click on the city banner, the banner on the map over the city-state with the city's name on it, to open the city screen. Items in the city can be listed in the left panel. At the moment, your city can only build a warrior. Click the warrior button to place one in the queue, which shows from left to right at the bottom of the city screen. I will build a warrior to strengthen my army. Obviously, we're doing that already. You've arrived in the east and can now found your second city on the city site. Cities are your centers of population, production, and power. Cities collect yields such as money, food, iron, stone, wood, orders, science, training, and civics. With your settler selected, as you hover the mouse over each green highlighted urban tile, the initial city border will be displayed. The city border indicates which tiles can be improved to produce the yields for that city. Move your settler to one of the green highlighted urban tiles and found your second city. I'll found a city on the eastern city site. Okay, so I think it's worth mentioning here, so if you found a second city from a family, so again, we need to have kind of our 3 founding families, so I believe if you skip over this, you actually wind up getting discontent in the city as a result. So like maybe I say it's like, yeah, but there's a gold mine nearby, like I really want to get the advantage to mines. It's like, well, that's fine, but you're going to get a penalty for it. So again, we could be military focused, we could go for civics and culture, or we could go for research. And I'm actually a little... I'll admit, I'm a little unsure which of these I want to go for. Let's go for the Alcmeonid. Now known as Philip the Settler. A cognomen is an acquired title that increases the legitimacy of the leader, such as the Invincible, the Wise, and the Great. New cognomens are acquired with the specific stats associated with that cognomen cross the necessary threshold. For example, one becomes the Wise by discovering a great number of technologies. The threshold increases for each subsequent leader of a nation. You've now founded a city on the eastern city site. As your nation is new, it would be best to set the city to build a worker if you wish to build improvements, or a warrior if you wished... a worker if you wish to build improvements, or a warrior if you wish to strengthen your army. Your brave warrior has suffered some damage, as indicated by the health bar above their unit banner. When units are within your nation's borders, they are able to heal, some of their damage. You should click the heal action button below to heal your warrior. Using all the skills you have learned so far, find the remaining city site to the west, clear the barbarian camp, and use another settler to found your third city. I will expand my nation to 3 cities. So let's start with healing. That does consume an order. So next unit, I think it'll let us explore now. So I'm actually going to let my exploration be guided by harvesting, which might be a greedy way of going about it, but... And let's train a worker. In addition to technology cards, there are bonus and boost cards which give you free items. Bonus cards give you free units, such as a free settler. Boost cards give you free yield, such as a stone boost. Both bonus and boost cards are unlocked by researching technologies. Greece begins the game already knowing drama, which opens the free settler card. When unlocked, bonus and boost cards are placed in the technology discard pile. They will cycle into the draw pile and become available using the same rules as other technology cards. However, bonus and boost cards can only become available once. If you do not choose a bonus or boost card when it is available to research, then it is removed from the game. Choose the free settler card now and to get a free settler. I will choose the free settler card to get a free settler. So remember, I believe what happens here, so again, we've got available labor force, free settler, husbandry, and polis, which you can all see here. In the discard pile, we've got stone boost, administration, divination, and military drill. So I believe everything gets shuffled back into the deck after this round. But if we did not choose the free settler, then there would be either way, basically, there's going to be 7 cards in... No, actually, I guess it would be 6 cards in the deck, and if we did choose free settler, then it would be 7 cards in the deck. So, anyways, I'm definitely taking the freebie. Okay, in this case, we know the enemies to the west, so I'm just gonna race my unit ahead. All right. And we can end the year. You've now built a mine on the ore tile. Building a mine will contribute iron to your stockpile every turn. To the east of the capital is a mountain range. Build a quarry near the mountain range to produce stone. The quarry can be built anywhere, but since we do not have a stone resource in our city border, we should instead build it next to the mountain range, which provides a bonus to quarries. I built a mine, I will now build a quarry near the mountain range. So, and in this case, the game recommends this area. I don't know what that is. So again, remember, I'm going to hit my shift key to be able to mouse this over. So critical hits deal double damage, and a chance to land a critical hit is improved with some promotions and generals with wisdom. Well, Philip isn't exactly wise. So what are my other options? Still the better option. I probably could have grabbed the foxes, but... Research of the Free Settler card is complete, granting you a Free Settler. If you do not have an opportunity to use your Free Settler yet, I'm sure one will present itself soon. Okay. Right, so I can delay my technological advancement one more time for the stone boost, or I can... It does recommend military drill. I'm going to do the stone boost. I need to figure out... I need to kind of figure out my... my plans when it comes to those bonuses. So again, I'm kind of letting my exploration be driven by acquisitions. You've built a warrior. You may need them to battle barbarians. You may now choose something else to build in the capital. Not much there for us. And let's get someone working on... So I'm trying to think, I can't remember exactly what the food does on its own. I believe the growth rate is something a bit different. Best sort of food is usually farms, which are more fruitful next to fresh water and on lush terrain. Food can also be acquired by building nets, pastures, and by training farmers, fishers, and ranches. Food is needed to feed your population and to produce new settlers. It doesn't quite answer what I was looking for. Yeah, we'll build a farmer. You've now built a quarry next to the mountain range. Building a quarry will contribute stone to your stockpile every turn. You now have basic rural economy and a capital. Over time, you will be able to build both rural and urban improvements around your cities. Continue building improvements around your capital to further improve the economy. Hey, Irrepressible 32 Talent. Yes, this is actually a fairly... I don't want to say it's a fairly old game, but this is a game that I think has probably not quite gotten the attention that I think... So this has definitely been on a lot of like top strategy game lists, and for a reason, incidentally. But because it's been on the Epic Store for such a long time, I think it's maybe been a little overlooked. But this game is going to be coming out on the 19th to Steam and GOG. And in addition, I mean, assuming if you already have this on Epic, or if you don't have if you just absolutely have to play it now and you don't mind getting it there, the game will also be getting an expansion, Heroes of the Aegean, which covers... Actually, you know what? Let me just take a second here and see exactly what's covered. Sorry to deny you the lovely soundtrack, but it'd be nice to be a little more accurate. So's of the Aegean. Oh, come on, Steam. Here's the Aegean. Old World, Here's of the Aegean gives you control of ancient Greece's greatest leaders and warriors. Lead Athens to victory in the Battle of Marathon. Defend Greece from Persian invasion. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for another subscription. I believe that's called self-cancellation in the words of Dayut of today. Lead Athens to victory in the Battle of Marathon, defend Greece from a Persian invasion as Leonidas and his 300 Spartans, and conquer the Hellenic world as Alexander the Great himself in a series of scenarios spanning over 200 years of classical history. So apparently I was wrong to mention the Peloponnesian War. That does not seem to be in here. So some of the battles they're mentioning, there is there's definitely the emphasis on this is recreation of famous moments from history for sure. So Marathon's on there, holding off Persia at Thermopylae. Salamis is there. Plataea is there. We're playing as Philip right now, but I believe there is the conquest of Greece. It seems to be listed here. You get to play Olympias. Alexander the Great campaign, and apparently also one of the successor. You get to pick one, so presumably you'll play Ptolemy. It definitely quite a bit in there. And there is actually a campaign already, Rise of Carthage, but that is presently in the game. So 19th is not just the game becoming available on other storefronts, but as you can see, a fairly sizable expansion coming up. Okay, you've now built a quarry next to a mountain range. Building a quarry will contribute stone to your stockpile every turn. You now have a basic rural economy in the capital. Over time, you'll be able to build both rural and urban improvements around your cities. Continue building improvements around your capital to further improve the economy. I built a quarry and will continue improving my cities using my worker. Probably can't even marry your sister and make more Ptolemies. Oh. Just wait for the next couple of tutorials, Irrepressible. Okay, so it's recommend. So I tend to, as I mentioned, like using the recommendations in a game. I am really bad at thinking for myself. So it's suggesting another quarry here. Could do an urban improvement for the Odeon. Or could build another mine. One option I have here is just to kind of take a look at how much I'm generating in a given category. I think I will actually try the urban improvement first, and then we'll move on. I probably should have done a quick read in terms of what that will actually get me, but I'm sure it'll be great. We'll keep you asleep. And really, I'm just going to use the scout to go pick up goodies. So, more gems. Growth Boom Impella. Yeah, so it's definitely focused on the ancient world. So this is by Mohawk Games, which is, I believe, Soren Johnson's the founder. Layla Johnson is creative director on this. But Soren Johnson is definitely well known for his work on Civilization 3 as well as Civilization 4. And Mohawk has actually made a game before, an excellent game called Off-World Trading Company, which is sort of a real-time strategy. It's an economic real-time strategy game. And I am a huge fan of it. So yeah, no, it's definitely... I started the stream by talking a little bit about how I was following this game back when it was called 10 Crowns. And there's... if it's not recorded, at the very least there are slides of a talk about sort of inheriting certain conventions from genres and maybe raising questions about whether or not there's value in holding on to them, or maybe you want to re-examine some of those basic ideas. So I don't know whether or not you can kind of consider it this founding document of what became Old World. But it's definitely, I think it's just very interesting to sort of get someone who's obviously been very influential in terms of shaping that genre. Obviously, Civilization was established, but it's fair to say, if you've had a big role in Civilization 3, if you're a lead on Civilization 4, and then you did some of the 4X components in Spore, I think it's also fair to say that, probably your opinions are worth hearing on these sorts of things. I'd actually, after spending a little more time with this and doing a couple streams, maybe what I can do is bring up those slides and see if we can talk, maybe talk about maybe where some of the obvious mappings from that document appear to gameplay. So again, we've got our champions or patrons. In this case, I'm going to do patrons by process of elimination. You founded a city on the Western City site. You now have the core of your nation. Finish any outstanding goals you have to complete the tutorial. I'll finish all my goals. Ave Imperator, you have cleared the barbarians from the region and founded 3 cities. You have also built a number of improvements around your capital to improve the economy. In this tutorial, we covered the basics of starting an economy and expanding your nation. In the next tutorial, you will learn to interact with characters, families, and religions. I'm ready. And again, I apologize for the load times. I put this on my hard drive, but I have both the space and the interest in putting this on the solid state, so I will try and adjust that accordingly. Okay. Everyone has an opinion. This is the third in the series of tutorials to help you learn the basics of Old World. These tutorials will not cover everything in the game, but will walk you through the basics of ruling your nation. In this tutorial, you return to the same starting situation as Tutorial 2. But this time, instead of focusing on the nation building parts of the Old World, you will focus on the character parts of Old World. So remember what you were talking about, Irrepressible? It's coming. Hello, Philip of Greece. You are the leader of your nation, or what will be your nation. You begin this tutorial at the same starting situation as the last tutorial. In the last tutorial, you learnt how to build a basic economy. In this tutorial, your task will be to incorporate another main part of the game, characters. For this tutorial, you should build a basic economy as you learnt in the last tutorial. That means build improvements with your worker, explore the map and harvest resources with your scout, and promote and general your warrior to defeat barbarians. Don't forget to heal after each battle. As well, this tutorial will guide you through how to influence the different characters in your nation. Philip, are you ready to found Greece, build a nation, and write your legacy? I'm ready to start building a nation. All right, it didn't seem to do us any harm to use the artisans at the start, so we'll repeat that. Greece begins the game with ironworking, stone cutting, and drama. Greece has the ability to build warriors and a basic rural economy. There are 2 technologies that you should research as soon as you can. Divination will allow you the building of shrines, which will found and spread Greek paganism. Religions are useful as they provide culture in each city and help keep the population of your cities content. Trapping will allow the training of your first ranged unit, the Slinger. Ranged units are great at supporting your warriors in battle, but you may be offered a free settler at the same time as trapping, forcing a decision. Go for a free settler and delay being able to train slingers, or choose trapping now and produce a settler in the city. For now, research divination first so that you can found Greek paganism. I will research divination. So notice here, by the way, so it's telling me to research divination, and I've got trapping in the list here. So, but again, I do what I'm told. So let's take a look at our options. So I've got 2 workers here. So I think one of them's gonna work on stone, the other one's gonna work on food. So I'll build the farm. So we'll do kind of what we did last time. Actually, there's one shift I can make. Ah, interesting. So I can move my scout, but that comes at the expense. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. We will promote, ideally, well, combat 1 it is. So it denies me a bit of range on my scout. So notice, right? This is actually a really clever touch on the tutorial. So it's very subtly introduced the trade-offs of trying to pick inside of the order system. If we raised our legitimacy, we would get more orders, but of course it's the first turn. So your wife has given birth to a daughter, Duchess Fila. Okay. So I think let's prioritize the scout first. This is the exact same map as before. We already kind of know where the barbarians are, but we can get food and such. And of course, more importantly, we can add the general while we're on the march. So oh, I get to move the scout again. Okay, so clearing out the site seems to be the bigger priority for me. I don't think there's... Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a defensive bonus for one or the other, so we'll reduce the number of orders used. Grab a little money. I don't really see a lot of value in scouting out this area over here, seeing as we're already in combat. Every character, religion, family, and foreign leader has an opinion of you, as Philip, the leader of Greece. Other nations and tribes also have a diplomatic relationship with your nation, which is influenced by their leader's opinion of you. A character's opinion affects the cost of their missions, their combat effectiveness as generals, and the discontent of their cities as governors. The opinion of the heads of families, religions, nations, and tribes will also affect the opinion of those entities towards you as a whole. Influence missions give you the chance to improve another character's opinion of you. It is time to influence your spouse, Olympias, to improve her opinion of you. Olympias is currently upset. If we improve her opinion to cautious, it will remove the negative upset yield opinion modifier, and her output of science and training will improve. Select Olympias and begin the influence mission. Note, an influence mission costs 200 money and 2 orders. You may need to wait a few turns before you have enough of both to begin the mission. I will influence Olympias. And again, for those of you who saw the Alexander movie, we are trying to... well, do you think Olympias would hold a vial of my blood in a locket? Okay, so clearly if I'm going to be doing more influence, I need to find another source of cash. And apparently Alexander doesn't care for me too much. Clearly his mother's influence. Let's get that mine underway. Let's, at the very least, let's stop any negatives from appearing. Upgrade. Oh yeah, no, we're not doing that. Should have done this earlier. Not quite ready for the scout yet. I need to figure out what I want to do with my unit. The early Odeon doesn't quite seem to be the right thing to do here, but I don't hate it. Does anybody want to hear the anecdote about Mount Etna again? I'll just need to remember to grab them. Marble next turn. Your wife has given birth to a son, Duke Pyrrhus. Or Pyrrhus. Kind and pleasant queen consort Olympias, your wife is gracious. Okay. Priority number 1. Get rid of those funny talking people. We will move the settler as close as we can get. Let's grab the marble while we can. I've got 3 orders left, so my workers are already working. Ah, excellent. That's a source of cash. Okay, so what do we want from Pella? The tutorial previously made me build a warrior, and I think there might be some value in just sort of following that reasoning. The alternative would be we could get a farmer, so that will increase my food yield. Also, apparently I get more science. Or we could do a stonecutter. That will give us more in terms of, sorry, I can't remember what this is called, civics. So that's going to mean that we can get stuff done faster. So what's the deal with rural specialist? I can never remember where that... Yeah, but where does it come from? That's what I wanted to... Okay. I can look that up in the manual later. I don't know, the idea of getting more done is attractive. I should probably work on the warrior at some point, though. Oh, that's really good to hear, Irrepressible. Sure to type in all capitals to Hooded Horse that it was the System Chalk stream that led you to... Now I need someone to sell you an extra week to play it. Vacation time. At the very least, so if you are interested in it, definitely recommend putting it on your wish list. I know definitely a lot of people... So there's 2 reasons why I like recommending people put stuff on their wish list if they know that they can't sort of pick it up and play it right away. Number 1, it saves the developers, it saves the publishers from being able, like, from spending on stuff like MailChimp and all of that to reach out to you. But number 2, it has this really nice effect of being able to let other people know you're interested in it. So it's not even like the whole, like, well, what if somebody gifts it to you or something like that, right? What's interesting about that is that, like, I am going to pay a lot more attention if I see someone who I know has a good taste in games wishlist something. And I do check my activity. Not everybody does, but I will probably say most of the stuff that I add that isn't a direct result of me, like, just going out and kind of taking the temperature of things and, like, seeing if there's something I'm interested in. But most of the stuff that I wind up, like, checking out and winding up buying is usually something that I've seen somebody else I know playing. So obviously, streaming plays a little bit of that role. But I would definitely say, like, if you have just a friend, like, so everybody kind of has a friend who's like chooser of good games, like chooser of good flicks. And I'm like 90% sure that for most people who are watching, you are probably that person to at least one person on your friends list. And so it's a simple thing to do, but in addition to the fact that it simplifies the developer's job of, like, being able to, like, let you know about stuff like sales or new updates or anything like that, it actually helps get the word out in a credible way. Because again, like, to me, Old World is something that I've kind of known and have taken for granted for a long time, but it's obvious there's a handful of people here who are really interested in it, and it's news. So I definitely think there's some value there. You also think the Steam algorithm uses wishlists pretty heavily, at least pre-release? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of writing on that. I don't actually know that much about Steam's algorithm though, so I try not to speak too authoritatively on it. But yeah, I don't know. I like where I can. I like trying to advocate for those kinds of interests. It was flashing, so I'm just going to do it. But I think I'm losing a little money as a result of that. You have successfully exerted your influence upon Queen Consort Olympias. Queen Consort Olympias becomes influenced by King Philip the Founder. You've successfully influenced Olympias. She now has a higher opinion of you. Continue by influencing 3 more characters. Good targets for influence missions are your spouse, heir, and heads of religions and families. Click on any character's portrait to bring up their action panel and choose influence. Note at the top right of the screen, character information is shown on the first tab from the left, and religion and family information is shown on the second tab from the left. The character tab has some filters to assist with displaying the list. You may need to switch to the second filter, all characters, to find someone to influence after Olympias and Alexander. I will influence 3 more characters. Fun fact, I ignored this note the first time I did this tutorial, so I was very confused about who I was supposed to influence. Now, the game did recommend that I try and influence my heir. So I will try that, but in this case I don't have the cash, so I'm gonna need to wait this out. And of course that can give me a bit of a goal that I move towards, which would be try and find money producing activities to do. Although priority number 1 right now is to try and get me to wait a minute. Oh, yeah. No, we've already got... Okay. By the way, I'm 90% sure this song is in Civilization. Greece discovers a new technology, Polis. You are now known as the Settler. Okay. Let's heal up. I wanted to at least get the money. Okay, now I gotta decide what I'm doing with my... Okay, so a hamlet can get me money. Oh, yep, no, they're recommending it here, so... And let's build a worker, because that's traditionally been how we've handled it. Okay, I don't think there's a lot more for me to do right now, so let's scout out. So obviously we don't want to end... Actually, I believe we'll still be invisible to them, but let's not tempt fate. Let's stay in the woods. You have researched divination and may now build shrines. Greece has 4 shrines to choose from. Shrine of Athena, Shrine of Poseidon, Shrine of Hades, and Shrine of Zeus. All, of course, named after characters from Hades, which I think was pretty cool of Supergiant Games to, give Mohawk Games the rights to use all those characters they made. I guess maybe because they both came up through the Epic Games early access route. Or I guess no, it was Microsoft that licensed it to all of them from Age of Mythology. Anyways, shrines are urban improvements. Urban improvements form the basis of your city spread. Shrines are urban improvements. Urban improvements form the basis of your city spread, allowing your cities to have more citizens. There are rules to keep in mind when placing urban improvements. In general, an urban improvement needs to be built next to 2 other urban tiles. However, if building an urban improvement on the coast, only one adjacent urban tile is needed. An urban improvement will convert the underlying tile to urban, if it isn't already. There are 2 exceptions to the above urban rule. So funny story here, President. I actually got someone with that who thought I was very serious. So I felt a little bit bad about it, but... there are 2 exceptions to the above urban rules. A hamlet may be built anywhere. The hamlet is special as it is like an outpost. It will grow into a village in 20 turns, and then after another 20 turns into a town. Shrines are the other type of improvement that may be built anywhere. Instead of growing, though, shrines gain various bonuses depending on where you build them. For example, a Shrine of Hades gains bonus culture if built next to a mountain or a volcano. You may only build one hamlet per culture level of the city, and shrines may not be built next to other shrines. You are now free to choose any technology to research, but you should consider researching trapping as soon as you can to allow training of the slinger unit. Don't forget that bonus cards, such as Free Settler, only appear once. If you skip a bonus card, it is discarded immediately. I'll build a shrine. Well, yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like you're allowed... So I'm often wrong on this, but like I sort of feel you're allowed to be more deadpan the more outrageous the thing that you say is. But I think, it's tough because, everybody's kind of got their own context. And so, like, I don't want to take whatever credibility I've built and turn it into something, that people wind up having the wrong... Like, I like being playful, but I don't want to, I don't want to be a jerk about it. So, okay, so this is a little bit of a dilemma for me, right? I'd love both a free worker and a free settler, and I know picking one is gonna trash the other. But in this case, we'll go for the settler because that's more directly relevant to my goals. So it's definitely pushing us towards a. It's definitely pushing us to a shrine construction. One thing I am kind of curious about, so Shrines of Hades, bonuses for being next to mountains, so I'm sort of wondering why I wouldn't build one of those here. Here it's recommending a Shrine of Zeus. The worry I have is that like I kind of miss out on any adjacency opportunities for being next to it. So one thing that I do get to do here, oh yeah, Shrine of Poseidon actually would be good because of the money, which I sort of need for influence. Adjacent nets, though, so that's not really anywhere near where I can work. Yes, like this and this would be two good spots for Shrines of Hades. Shrines of Zeus. I think we'll build a shrine to Hades here. Welcome to the big old goth stream. We could use some more food. Okay, I kind of messed up the order of things, but there's no undo, so we'll get our food here. We are good to go healing-wise, so we march on the barbarians. Yeah, so the scout's kind of on its own just because I wasted a bunch of orders, but okay. So Pella is currently idle. I'm going to move my scout for a little bit, seeing as we'll have the warrior kind of keeping an eye on what's going on. Okay. Lots of things I can build. Let's go for another warrior, though. Prince Alexander, your son, gives into his basic desires more often lately. He has lost one discipline. Oh, speaking of, we've got more than enough money, so let's get that influence in there. I should have, definitely should have influenced more. Let's start with you. Okay, so again, I'm kind of letting harvesting be the determining factor for most of my movements here. New court soldier. All courtiers can serve as generals, governors, or agents regardless of their archetype. Their ratings affect your global yields at 1/3 of the rate of the leader. For example, their charisma will increase your civics. Further, their opinion of you will increase or decrease these yield rates. Actually, come to think of it, I've been assigning some governors, so I should probably work on schmoozing them. Greek paganism founded in Pella. You've built a shrine and founded Greek paganism. Each nation has a unique pagan religion which is founded and spread by the building of a shrine. Pagan religions are not able to be spread to other tribes or nations. They don't have disciples, improvements, or theologies of world religions either. The 4 world religions, Judaism, Zoroastrianism, Christianity, and Manichaeism, are founded when a nation achieves each one's specific prerequisites, or when founding the family seat of the clerics. Cities without religion can then build disciples, which are capable of spreading the religion to other settlements. These disciples can also build monasteries, temples, cathedrals, and holy sites of their religion. Finally, disciples can establish a theology for world religions. Religious opinion affects the discontent of your cities with that religion. If that religion is pleased or friendly, discontent will decrease in cities with that religion. However, if that religion is upset, angry, or furious, then discontent will increase in cities with that religion. When a head of religion is pleased or friendly, they will be able to convert other characters to their religion. Those characters are then influenced by the opinion of the religion. It will take a couple of turns before a head is chosen for Greek paganism. Then you may attempt to convert and influence the opinion of characters through religion. I founded Greek paganism. I believe we're still trying to influence... Yeah, so I believe if we were to... we've got all characters. What about, eligible governors? So we already have the... we already have the active influence on Alexander. Okay, so shrines built. I guess we need to decide what we do next. So we've got a theater that we could build. We could go for more mines or stone. I'm noticing stone is one that we're not getting double digits for yet, so we'll start building that. Man, they really want me to build that Shrine of Zeus. I suppose it couldn't hurt. It does give me more civics, so I should be able to build things faster. Ooh, I should have did the combat first. Okay, so what I tend to use my scout for at this point is just picking up goodies. So we've already taken the gems. Have we refreshed the horses? That'll help me with influence. Queen Consort Olympias has converted to Greek paganism. You've successfully exerted your influence upon Prince Alexander. Prince Alexander is influenced by King Philip the Settler. Duchess Philia is now old enough to be tutored by courtiers. I don't know about tutoring. Okay, this is a bit of a dilemma, right? Because we do need the slingers. We are unfortunately going to lose the stone boost, but again, the game is recommending that we research this. Philip is you, and the general of warrior. Sorry, I'm just thinking of the Hampuli game. Baba is you. So we could become bloodthirsty, +10 versus damaged. All units +5 versus damaged. Ranger. So we're better in trees, or we could boost our courage. Let's boost our courage. So obviously that's going to go away with our leader, but I suspect we're probably not going to have to worry about that this time around. Philip is win. Queen Consort Olympias the Schemer, your wife, is now head of Greek paganism. Their opinion of you has gone from cautious to pleased. Keen to indulge in the pleasures of the flesh, Prince Alexander, your son, is wanton. As well as the leader being able to directly influence a character's opinion, religion may also have an impact on a character. If you keep your religion pleased or friendly, converting characters to your religion will help increase their opinion of you as well. When enough characters in a family convert to your religion, the whole family will declare for your religion, which gives even more benefits to your nation. Attalus the Younger does not follow Greek paganism. To convert Attalus the Younger to Greek paganism, find him in the character list at the top right of the screen. Click his portrait and begin the Convert Religion mission. At the top right of the screen, character information is shown in the first tab from the left, and religion and family information is shown in the second tab from the left. I will have Queen Consort Olympias the Schemer complete a Convert a Religion mission on Attalus the Younger. Okay. Be bold and insane. So that's Olympias working. In the meantime, am going to influence my governess. Okay. I suspect that's probably why they wanted that shrine there, so I could build a mine. This is definitely going to help my my income, so I'm not going to complain about that. And we will stay in place. I don't think there's much else that I can loot in this area. The gold's within my borders. Ugh. I think I ran into this last time as well. Again, I'm running out of places to put things. Let's go for more food. Again, that's going to be a single digit, so we'll get those upgrades in. We've got a worker in Thebes, so I'm going to go for money just because we do need to do some more influence. Oops. I gotta figure out the exact order in which I'm going to do things. Okay, so we've got a warrior here. We can't yet build a slinger. I could basically put more people in different roles. The stonecutter holds back the electric car. So poet would give me culture and science. I think this might be upgrading the existing farmer rather than... Let's go for the growth. Thebes, we'll get them training a warrior. Oh right, they're on cooldown from promoting. Okay. Yeah, so I gotta figure out what I want to do with my scout. Alright, Attalus the Younger is converted to Greek paganism. Queen Consort Olympias the Schemer has successfully converted Attalus the Younger to a religion. Attalus the Younger converts to Greek paganism. You've successfully exerted your influence upon Oligarch Haidna the Bold. Oligarch Haidna the Bold has become influenced by King Philip the Settler. Duke Verus is now old enough to be tutored by the courtiers. As well as influence, a leader may have a religious or family head perform an intercession on behalf of them. The target character must be of the same religion or family as the interceding head. Attalus the Younger is a follower of Greek paganism. Find him in the character list and have your head of Greek paganism, Queen Consort Olympia the Schemer, Olympias, the schemer, complete an intercession religion mission on them. I will have Queen Consort Olympias, the schemer, complete an intercession mission on Attalus the Younger. So I wish I kind of understood what intercession does a little bit better. Let's just see here. So 50% finished, 25% intercession exposes our weaknesses, -1 legitimacy. Why would I do that? Hang on. So it gives experience to... Am I missing something here? So an intercession event, 25% chance of happening. 25% we get -1 legitimacy. I mean, we'll do it because the game told us to, but I'm having a little difficulty parsing what that accomplishes. But then I suspect that's why that's in the tutorial. So let's build our city. Greece now has 3 cities, one for each of the 3 chosen families in your nation. You should now focus on improving the economy of Greece. Have your workers build improvements in all of your cities. The capital has some good farm sites to the west of the city, and quarry sites to the east near the mountains. Your eastern city has some good mine sites on the east side of the river, and the wheat site to the west side. Your western city has lots of trees, which aren't really useful to you yet. Maybe in the next tutorial. Increase the output of food, iron, and stone to 20 plus per turn for each. Okay, actually, we're probably close to accomplishing that anyway. Note the output of each yield is shown next to the stockpile amount as a green number or red number. Green plus number or a red minus number. I will increase the food, iron, and stone output to plus 20 per turn for each. An army to defend or attack. With greater riches come greater threats. As Greece increases in wealth and power, other nations may covet our cities. Philip, it is time to build a mighty army and ensure Greek dominance. Increase the army size to 3 melee and 3 ranged units. You will need to research trapping if you haven't already to enable the slinger unit, which is ranged. So we're 2 years away from that. And of course, we kind of need to build all this up. Okay, so we're good here. I think I'll let this warrior unit sleep. Let's choose production in Syracuse. I'm actually going to put a worker down first. It's tempting to do another warrior, but I feel like we'll be able to accomplish that elsewhere, whereas we are going to need a worker to be able to improve things. And... Again, I'm letting my... my hope to pick things up. Okay, let's try and get some influence in. Can I assign a governor? So I'm just trying to think who else I can influence, because like Olympias is already the leader. Well, actually, I guess what we can do is we can maybe go for the heads of the families. Oh yes, we'll also be picking some. Okay, we don't have the money for it. Oh, well, with that in mind, we can't influence then, so... Oligarch Haydn of the Bold has converted to Greek paganism. Okay, we will heal again. So now we've got money for influence. So I'm just trying to get a read on Okay, so it looks like when it says oligarch, that's the head of the family. Okay. I didn't really have anything else to do. Queen Consort Olympias the Schemer has successfully intercessed upon Attalus the Younger on your behalf. Attalus the Younger interceded... Okay, so it's opinion plus 60. The Kipslid family has converted to Greek paganism. Their opinion of you has gone from pleased to friendly. Queen Consort Olympias the Schemer has successfully interceded on your behalf. Queen Consort Olympias the Schemer is a good friend to have, and I will keep her pleased. All right, so we get to pick. I don't think any of this... So the game's recommending forestry. The forestry tech allows the construction of lumber mills, which provide a steady source of wood to support your ranged units and free your workers from needing to cut down trees. Again, I'll go for the recommendation, but the tutorial did suggest that I wouldn't need these until later. What's below... So what I should be looking at right now is whatever's below 20. So it does look like stone is below 20, so we will send someone off to build another quarry. We do also need more metal. I didn't see how much we'd be getting. 9.5, so that'll cover us... Yeah, the combining both of those will take us where we need to go for our improvements. So I'll keep the warrior here. I don't think there's any. I don't think there are any bad guys in the area. I am going to grab a slinger here, so we'll try. I mean, as much as I can, I'll just try and build people in. Like, ideally, each warrior will be built in each of the 3 cities. Each slinger will be built in each of the 3 cities. It probably won't turn out that way, but that's at least kind of the pattern that I'm going to work with. Okay. I want to see what that story is with governors. Must not be a different... Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure how to parse this error message. It says must not be different family than Alkmeonid. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but presumably we have governor candidates among this family. Requires garrison, stronghold, or citadel. So that I can sort of understand, although I don't think we had that for Pella. Or at the very least, it's not apparent to me that we have those. In any case, I'm sure that will be explained later, so I'm not going to spend too much time thinking about it. So let's get my scout to just run around and steal things. You successfully exerted your influence upon Oligarch Bilistash the Scholar. Oligarch Bilistash the Scholar becomes influenced by King Philip the Settler. You've successfully influenced 3 more characters. To summarize opinion, character opinion affects how productive they are and how they will react towards you. Family opinion affects the productivity of their cities and how effective their units are in battle. Negative family opinion may lead to rebellions. Foreign nation and tribe opinion affects how they react to you in diplomacy or trade and may lead to war or peace. Religion opinion affects the opinion of that religion's followers. Discontent in your cities of that religion and other nations will follow that religion. Character opinion influences their families, nations, or tribes, and religion's opinion. Using the abilities of your leader, the head of your religion, and the heads of your families, you are able to influence the opinion of characters or intercede on your leader's behalf, and thus their families, nations, or tribes and religion's opinions. If you are able to maintain pleased or friendly opinions for many characters, you will find that your nation's stability and prosperity is easy to maintain. But remember, it only takes one bad apple to spoil the barrel. I've exerted my influence over 3 more characters. Okay, so we're focusing on basically acquiring resources and building units. I know I'm kind of going on for a while on this tutorial, so We can build an Odeon, we can build a farm. We're already building a mine, so let's build the farm. Oh, right, sorry. I don't know why I moved my scout here. There's no way I can harvest that. Can't get the wheat, though. Like I said, you can kind of see what I was talking about at play here. I'm kind of I already know what the map looks like, but I've got something for my scout to do. And of course, the order system means that I actually have to make some choices in terms of how I spend that time, which I think is kind of neat. Okay, it's getting a little crowded here. So I could build a theater, I could build a mine. Theater gets me culture and reduces the unhappiness. Why not? So we'll see if we can harvest those horses next turn. Duchess Fila, your daughter, second in line, now has the judge trait. The economy of Greece is growing. The extra food, iron, and stone will go towards expanding the nation. Let them eat cake. Okay, so let's figure out what we want to do with Thebes. So we can boost the food. Let's do an Odeon. It'd be nice to try and get a mix of urban and rural specialization. We will... So they want me to build a shrine to Athena here. Shrine to Athena gets more bonuses next to courthouses, but I don't think we're going to have any courthouses, so why not? I've got a slinger here, so... Actually, there's a couple things I want to do here, so let's add a general. Let Alexander handle the one. It's again just trying to claim whatever resources I can. And Pella, so we still have a melee unit to build. So it's, I mean, it's an even split between the two. So we've got a worker in the one. We've already got a warrior on the way, so it makes sense to make another slinger here. So I guess we can promote the one. Tracker wouldn't be terrible. Let's go for the crit. Isn't he already leading? Okay, so I guess we do another slinger. That's the first available city to do that. Again, just using my orders here to acquire more resources while I can. Duke Pyrrhus, your son, has a new illegitimate daughter, Timea. Okay, this looks promising. Oh, I bet you we can build a shrine to Poseidon next to this and make some decent money. Speaking of... They want us to build a shrine to Poseidon here. I mean, I guess if you have to build one, you have to build one, but I'm gonna skip over that for now and we'll just build another quarry. Okay, we can let you go. Well, swaps places, so we'll put the slinger in Pella. Move them up one and promote them. And Syracuse, we're already working on all of the military units that we need. So in this case, we'll just work on whatever improvements we can get away with. Which admittedly, let's build walls mostly because I can. Ducuris, your son in third in line, now has the tactician trait. So basically everybody but Alexander, who we know how he's going to turn out in history, is developing all of these really admirable traits. Haidna is the governor of Pella, so they can become a deal maker, a naturalist, or gain discipline. Let's take a quick look here. So adding discipline removes the... not all of the negative features, but most of them. Yeah, let's do that upgrade. Okay, what do I want to build with my worker? I'm really reluctant to build this shrine, so for the time being I will settle for another farm. I think I just moved this unit up like this to let them sleep. I mean, obviously I could try moving them up. I've got more than enough in terms of training, but I'm not really sure I need to do any of that right now. So I'm just doing my little cycle of picking up items. Deeply affectionate and prone to passionate gestures, Digfiris, your son, third in line, is a hopeless romantic. So I could go into the details about what those do, but at this point here, I'm just kind of trying to hit that that number for slingers. We've got 4 years before we wrap that up. We'll see if we can get some barley. You are now known as Philip the Able. This cognomen is acquired. Actually, I'll leave that be. It's particularly good though because of the high legitimacy. So game here would recommend a new court scholar. Oh, that reminds me, I've not been tutoring. Looks like we don't have the option anymore. I should probably be taking advantage of this large amount of money that we have, though. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, let's convert some of the households. And while I'm at it, this is also the one family that I don't have good relations with, so we will influence. Okay, moving on. Apparently we can build a lumber mill here. Let's do that. I don't know what it does, but... is that my slinger? Yes. So this is one I want to move to Syracuse, given that we don't... actually, yeah, so there's a small problem here, which is I don't have any family units to defend that, so the benefit from the wall is not as strong as it otherwise could be. But again, we're presumably at the end of the tutorial once we hit those numbers. Okay, so we're going to focus on improving Pella. Let's do... I think I'll just do the specialist jobs. General Attalus the Younger, General of the Slinger, has died in the field. Training accident. Cool. Okay. Oligarch Neoptolemus, the orator, is converted to Greek paganism. Queen consort Olympias the schemer has successfully converted Oligarch Neoptolemus, the orator, to her religion. Oligarch Neoptolemus, the orator, converts to Greek paganism. You successfully exerted your influence upon Oligarch Neoptolemus, the orator. Oligarch Neoptolemus, the orator, is influenced by King Philip the Able. Devoted to any cause she swears to, everyone knows that Duchess Phila, your daughter, second in line, is loyal. Okay. We're going to do the same with conversion. And who else do I want to make my friend? Honestly, for the most part, I'm really looking for... better... I'm sorry, I'm looking more so for religious influence than anything. Let's see what's going on in Pella. I'd kind of like to know why these are all grayed out. I'm guessing there's a limit to how many that I can build here. But it's maybe a little less clear to me. It costs a citizen. Okay. Right. Okay. So in future, I'll have to look at what affects this growth rate. I could put on a festival, but now we'll do walls for the time being. Okay. Let's... Okay. Apparently I get a free promotion here, so... Oh yeah, I could have switched them around. Doesn't matter. We're one turn away anyway, so let's not make this any longer than it has to be. I like pigs. Aurelia the Minister has died. Philip now has an army to lead. This army will be very useful in the future to defend Greece from foreign invasions. I will lead military parades throughout Greece. Ave Imperator, you have cleared the barbarians from the region and founded 3 cities. You have also learnt how to win friends and influence them. In this tutorial, we covered the basics of character opinions and how you can influence them to help maintain stability in your nation. In the next tutorial, you will learn how to rule your nation. So sorry, I think I kind of let things drag a little bit during that tutorial, but there's a couple things that I was curious about, and I think that was a tutorial obviously very focused on characters, and I was starting to notice a few things about cities, and my attention was wandering a little bit. So let's go back to Learn to Play. So this is going to be a brand new tutorial. I don't think I've done this one before. At least the check marks are indicating that I haven't done it. So this is the 4th in a series of tutorials to help you learn the basics of Old World. These tutorials will not cover everything in the game, but will walk you through the basics of ruling your nation. In this tutorial, you will start with the 3 cities from the previous scenario. You will make contact with advanced tribes and another nation. You will learn about council members, diplomacy, and missions. Hello, Philip of Greece. You are the leader of Greece. You begin this tutorial in a similar situation to the end of the previous one. With an established nation of 3 cities, you have a small army of units to defend your lands, a basic economy centered around the capital, as well as a fledgling Greek paganism. For this tutorial, continue expanding your economy and army as you have previously learnt. In this tutorial, you will also learn how to rule your nation. Philip, are you ready to expand Greece and exploit the land? I'm ready to lead Greece to greatness. In previous Learn to Play tutorials, you have been assigned goals to complete. These goals helped you learn the basics of Old World. Now it is time to introduce you to ambitions. Ambitions are a leader's desires for what they want to achieve. Each leader will have their own ambitions and may have some legacy ambitions from previous leaders to achieve. Completing an ambition or legacy will give you a boost in legitimacy. During the course of a full game, you will have the opportunity to complete up to 10 ambitions. If you are successful in completing all 10 ambitions, then you will achieve an ambition victory. Note, for the purposes of this tutorial, you will need to complete 8 ambitions to achieve victory, not the normal 10. You must complete all 8 ambitions to complete this tutorial, otherwise you will fail and need to start again. Your first ambition is to explore west and found a 4th city on the peninsula. Your scout is located to the west of the capital, ready to explore the peninsula. I will expand west and found a 4th city on the peninsula. King Philip the Settler has started a new ambition, found a 4th city on the peninsula. Okay, so remembering the guideline that I had before, which was to use kind of use my orders in the kind of the priority. We're going to use up our scout first. Okay, now one question I'm going to have is, do I have an available settler? If I do, then we're fine. If I don't, then I need to work on that pretty much right away. Okay, so we're already building a settler, so I don't need to worry about that. I'm interested in the fact that there doesn't seem to be a slinger here. That's neither here nor there, though. So, Pergamon. I think probably let's use up... So, we've got 2 citizens. So, the first question I might ask is, well, how do I want to use them? So, we could put an acolyte. We could put a miner. We could put a farmer. So, farmer will help the growth rate. I think farmers probably should be a priority no matter what when I have the option. Syracuse, we've got a trapper option, we've got a farmer option. I think, again, we said farmer probably becomes the priority until I find a better opportunity. So the Odeon will drop my stone. I think I'll go for my Gothy shrine. And I'm out of orders to build something here, so shame on me. I actually kind of want to build the mine here, to be completely honest, but this will get me money, so I'm okay moving forward with that. And what's your story? Duchess Diotima, your daughter, 3rd in line, is severely ill, suffering from a high fever and constant shaking, leaving her barely able to walk. Greece is a fine army of warriors and slingers. You have no doubt that Greece will dominate any foe on land. However, you have no navy to rule the waves. Philip, you desire a navy. Research navigation and then build a bireme in one of your coastal cities. King Philip the Settler has started a new ambition, research navigation and train a bireme. Again, pronunciation may vary. I am an idiot. So in this case, I want to prioritize the workers just simply because I haven't really... You were the first to discover this landmark. What will you name it? The Atlantic Ocean. Okay, I think what I'm going to do here is try to assign some generals and... I'm already out of points. Philip, you feel in your bones that your time is fast coming to an end. Your marriage with Olympiast, while rocky, did confirm the line of succession through Alexander. Your most important goal in Old World is to ensure the line of succession. If your nation has no heir when the leader dies, then that is the end of your dynasty and the end of the game. To help ensure the line of succession, you are able to marry the princes and princesses of the nation to members of your families, other nations, or tribes. Marriage to a prince or princess grants you an opinion boost from the new spouse's family, nation, or tribe. It is time for Alexander to marry and have a child to ensure the line of succession. Select Alexander, click the Family Marriage button, and then click the family you wish to marry into. This will trigger a family marriage mission, indicated by the green star on Alexander's portrait, and will take 1 year to complete. If the mission is successful, the family will offer a selection of potential spouses for Alexander. If there are no suitable spouses, or you do not like who is offered, you may perform this mission as many times as you need to find the right wife for Alexander. Once married, it shouldn't take too long for them to produce the next heir. You hope to live long enough to see your grandchild extend the line of succession. I will ensure the line of succession. King Philip the Settler has started the new ambition to have Alexander marry and produce an heir. All right, Alex. Let's keep the Kypselid family happiest. I'm just thinking because this is kind of the engine of my economy. Should have harvested the stuff sooner. We're 1 year away from the settler, so that should be fine. Here I'm kind of just assigning generals because I can, but I think we've run out of options as far as that trick is concerned. So I think I'm just gonna put, yeah, I think I'm just gonna put them all to sleep. It saves me the effort. Obviously, we'll activate them if we need to, but. Duchess Diotima, your daughter, third in line, has died. All right, well, that's a step behind on our ambitions. A new marriage proposal from the Kypselids has arrived for your son, Prince Alexander the Bold. What is our answer? So, Artemisia the Herbalist. So -1 wisdom for courage. Or Hipparchia the Builder. Good discipline. Slightly older, but overall better stats. So, as your workers build improvements around a city, that city gains the ability to train a specialist to work that improvement. For example, a city may train a farmer to work a farm. A farmer increases growth, food, and science yields from that improvement. Rural improvements, such as farms and mines, are able to have one specialist each. Urban improvements, such as barracks and Odeon, are able to have an apprentice specialist, which can be upgraded to a master and then an elder specialist. Build some specialists in cities to improve yields from improvements. As well as units and specialists, a city is able to build projects. A project is an internal city-wide enhancement. Projects range from construction, such as walks, civic events, such as a festival, to governance, such as a decree. A project is built using civics, and the speed at which a city is able to build a project is determined by the amount of civics generated by that city. As a city increases in culture level, projects such as Inquiry 1 also increase in level to produce a higher bonus. Other projects, such as the moat, require the technology portcullis plus existing walls in the city. Next time a city has an empty build queue, consider building a project to enhance your city. I will consider what projects my cities could build. By the way, I never quite noticed this until a couple of playthroughs of this, but I really like how the portraits slowly change. Like, obviously, King Philip's beard is quite white, but also Olympias is looking a bit older. Obviously, still a fine and beautiful woman who, you know, kind of handles snakes a little too much, but this time she's debauched and witty. I believe that is not the same as last time. But in any case, obviously here I don't know. It's a neat little touch, and it's subtle. Like I didn't. It might have just changed in between the sessions, but I have a feeling these probably change over time. Across the top of the screen, you will find your nation's stockpiles of different resources. Workers require iron, stone, and wood to build improvements. Iron is produced in a mine, and stone is produced in a quarry, both of which your workers are able to build. However, you do not yet have access to lumber mills, which produce wood. Therefore, to access wood, you may either use a worker to cut trees or simply buy it from the market. To chop for wood, move a worker onto a trees tile and then click the Cut Trees worker action. The trees will regrow in a few turns, but if you clear the tile, trees will no longer grow in the future. The other option is to access wood is to buy it from the market. You access the market by holding your mouse cursor over the resource you wish to purchase in the top bar. Hover over the wood and you'll be able to buy or sell the resource. Click the buy button to purchase 1 wood, hold shift to buy to purchase 10, and hold control and click to purchase 100. And then if you hold control and shift, you buy 1,000 and bankrupt the nation. Until you research forestry and you are able to build lumber mills, it is a good idea to have at least 1 worker dedicated to cutting trees every turn. I will use workers and the market to ensure that I have enough wood to build improvements. Okay, so I'm probably going to need to figure out a bit of an allocation. I may even consider building an additional worker. But for the time being, let's focus on occupying the city site. Actually, while I'm at it, so I'm going to do this the other way around. I'm actually going to dedicate I'm going to dedicate a worker to cutting trees now, and then we will build the replacement. Oh, wow. They made short work of that. Figure I'll get what I can from these resources while I can. You are now known as Philip the Able. Trading boom in Pella. Your wife has given birth to a son, Duke Erebus. Okay, so the game is recommending navigation. That is also in line with my ambition. It's also the shortest, so that gives me quite a few. I just want to take a quick peek at the available cards. Maybe border boost might be a get that once sort of thing, but here we'll do navigation. Okay, first priority is to get the settler as close to the city site as possible. We want to cut trees where we can. Okay, Pergamum. I've already got a worker working here. I've got 2 citizens. Let's get our specialists down first, and then we'll see what else we can accomplish. Culture improving. Culture in Pella is developing. Festivals, fine art, and pottery, music and dancing, and inspiring architecture are taking hold in Pella. As the culture of a city improves, workers are able to build better improvements. Your governors perform better, and your cities inspire your nation, increasing your victory point score. Workers will also have access to impressive wonders of the world. Only one of each wonder may exist, and they increase your victory point score. Greece desires a wonder of the world. Specifically, it desires the Oracle. Wonders require a large amount of resources to build. You lack the stone required to build the Oracle. However, you are able to auto-buy your resource shortfall by holding down the Alt key when you select an improvement to build from the worker build list, as long as you have the money to buy the resources. Move a worker to a hill in Pella. A tile may be recommended when you select the worker. Hold down the Alt key on your keyboard, and if you have the money needed to buy the required resources, it should allow you to select the Oracle from the build menu. If you don't have the required money, then wait a few turns until you do and try again. It will take a number of turns to finish the Oracle to complete the ambition. I will build the Oracle Wonder of the World. King Philip the Able has started a new ambition, build the Oracle Wonder of the World. So it does not appear to be recommending a location for the Oracle. This probably is the best because... Well, actually, both of these are next door to the Shrine to Zeus, but at least this one I don't give up the granary. So I'm holding Alt... but I don't have the money. Okay, that's fine. I actually should have paid attention to that a little sooner. I think I'll go for a granary in the meantime, because it's obviously going to take us a while to get the money. Although harvesting horses gets us a little closer. Okay, can't quite make it to the city site yet, but we're getting close. Oh, actually, it looks like it's giving me the option. I do think there's probably a benefit to having a coastal city, though, so I'll still I'll still wait for the next turn, but that's good to know. Okay, we can build a quarry, a mine, an Odeon. We have a small metal shortfall. So if I take a look at the numbers here, the metal is the shortfall. But stone is what we need for the Oracle. Oh, we'll build a quarry for starters. Oh, interesting. That can't be a city center, though. Oh, you know what? There's probably just more to this map in the next tutorial. Okay, what do we want to build in Syracuse? Do Phila the Frugal. So there's a small cost. So I can get more civics, but at the cost of less cash, or I can put Phila the Frugal and not have any penalties. So I think we're going to focus on that. Now, okay, I don't have the citizens. I would like to build... Oh, interesting. Yeah, I should have thought this through. Well, we'll do what the game recommends, which is to do a project. So I could build a treasury. I could do a festival, which will help me with my growth. I think I'm going to build the treasury first. I think there is some value in dealing with that discontent, but I do like money. Okay, let's get that city built. Now, okay, let's think a little bit about what I want to try and accomplish. So I don't think there's any strong argument for... It's like I'm obviously going to be playing favorites. Okay, so looks like they're going to be... Everybody's going to be upset for the So I'm basically going to wind up upsetting people for the same reasons. So I think under normal circumstances, it would say here, this is good for areas with lots of hills and trees. So we do have some hills and we do have some trees. I don't know if this is going to turn into a major production center, though, because, of course, it did say that the aim was to try and build a port city. So with that in mind, we could say champions would be good if we think we're going to be building a large navy out of this. Or we could go for the patrons. And that's going to be, again, a little bit more about specialists getting jobs done. Now, I guess the big thing I would say here is I'm not too clear what specialists I'm going to be getting from a coastal city more than the others. So I guess I probably have a slight bias towards artisans right now. All right, you're now known as Philip the Pioneer. You've completed an ambition, build a fourth city on the peninsula, plus 10 legitimacy. Well done, you've expanded Greece to the west and founded a fourth city. Continue working on the other ambitions. Okay, let's just gonna grab whatever resources I can, even if I'm following an inefficient path. Alexandria? I think somebody else is supposed to be founding that one. All right. So I think starting as a worker should probably be a good default. The recent actions of Duke Mellinger the Insane, your son, have called into question the soundness of his judgment. He has lost one wisdom. I also forgot, probably should be building the Oracle at this point. Council members, as well as your spouse and your heir, there are 3 other members of the council. Your council resides above the ambitions list. Just from left to right, the roles are spouse, heir, ambassador, chancellor, and spymaster. The councillors hold special places within your nation. Each councillor has a role to play in the running of your nation and is able to perform unique missions. The ambassador may negotiate truce, peace, and alliances with other nations and tribes, as well as demand tribute, conduct a trade mission, or hold a high synod. The chancellor may issue a family gifts, pacify city, or imprison another character. The spymaster leads your agents who are able to infiltrate nations, slander nations, steal research, or even attempt to assassinate another character. A councillor's abilities also help contribute extra bonuses to your nation. For example, an ambassador's wisdom will improve city culture, and charisma will improve foreign opinion. However, hover the mouse over councillor slots for full details. Now that you have researched aristocracy, you may appoint an ambassador to the council. To appoint an ambassador, click the flashing ambassador icon to choose a character to fill the role. All right. So wisdom for culture, charisma for foreign opinion, courage for tribal opinion, and discipline for religion opinion. Let's get that oracle. Oh, interesting. So they want me to build an oracle here. Beside the shrine of Athena? That doesn't make any sense. So that's going to get me money. Okay. I lose a pretty good governor if I do this. Most of the other options are going to annoy the religion, though. So tell you what, we'll put Timea the Younger, for the simple reason that they're older, so we might have an alternative appear faster. Okay. Let's think a bit about Let's make some friends. Who's the head of the religion, first of all? Alright, so let's start by influencing them. Next up, let's also try and convert. Yeah, so it looks like the champion family hasn't... Oh, we don't have the civics for it. Okay. You are now known as Philip the Good. You've completed an ambition to have Alexander marry and produce an heir. Oh, excellent. Prince Alexander the Bold, your son, and Princess Consort Hipparchia have given birth to the son Duke Hippostratus. Duke Mellinger the Insane gives into his basic desires more often lately, and he's lost one discipline. Ambition completed. Well done. You have secured the line of succession. Philip, you are the current leader, to be followed by Alexander and then by Hippostratus. Continue working on the other ambitions. I will continue to complete ambitions. So we're 1 year away from being able to build the Oracle. We do have a new worker here, so what I'm going to do is... I'm just going to do the usual tree cutting. I'm actually going to move... It's occurred to me that tree cutting could be something that winds up taking a lot of time and energy. So I want to make sure that I get some of my other activities taken care of. Pella has got room for 3 citizens now, so I should definitely be working on some specialists. And I think I did say that kind of my default was going to be to invest in growth. So I can build 2 farmers. But if I do it this way, then I'm never really going to see any of the other improvements. So I'm actually going to start with a stonecutter so I can get my civics up. So it's going to take me 4 years for a stonecutter. It takes me 8 years to get a new citizen. Yeah, so I think we'll actually be able to do all stonecutters and all farmers without too much effort. And here we should just be able to chop down the remaining forests. Money boom in Pergamum, money boom in Syracuse. You have successfully exerted your influence upon Patriarch Periander the Younger, but appear weak in the process. And the Seleucid family has converted to Greek paganism. Okay, so I can boost my borders at the risk of losing polis phalanx and monasticism. I think I will go for the border growth. And this unit is going to go find some forests to cut down. Well, sorry, first things first. Now we can build the Oracle. Greece has begun construction of the Oracle. Oh, actually, that's going to be particularly helpful because we'll be able to access those gems. Okay, so this will be a pretty easy batch of... This is a pretty easy target for forestry. Again, I'm trying to figure out what my ordering should be for some of this stuff. I think I'll start with another farm. I think I'm going to try and make sure I use this for exploring first. As it turns out, we're getting a lot of goodies out of that anyway. Okay, Pergamum. What do I use you for now? I've got 1 citizen. I actually also only really have 1 specialist position. Oh, hang on. I need to train Byreme. Let's focus on our priorities first, and then we'll build the Acolyte. Well, that's interesting. So you can do a trade-off for rushing production. You can increase discontent. I'm in no rush for the bireme, though, so... You finish researching navigation and are able to build a bireme. A bireme requires 50 iron and 50 wood to train. After making a total stockpile of at least 50 iron and 50 wood, order one of your cities to train a bireme. From the balcony of the palace, Pella is a beautiful sight. Absorbed in Pella's glory, Philip missed hearing the scrape of a heel on stone as the assassin struck. Philip is fatally wounded during the assassination attempt and is rushed to the royal hospital. After many hours, it is bad news for Greece. After a glorious reign, the royal doctors state there is nothing more they can do for Philip. King Philip the Good is doomed to die next turn. We will get vengeance for this attack on King Philip the Good. Does anybody have guesses who the assassin was? Doomed is a heck of a trait to have. All right. The following ambitions are now legacies. Research, navigation, and train a bireme, 20 years left, and build the Oracle Wonder, 20 years left. So both of these will be done within 20 years for sure. King Philip the Good, General of the Warrior, has died in the field. King Alexander the New has taken over as leader of Greece. Philip's ambitions have become legacy ambitions. You have 20 turns to complete them. If you do not complete the legacy ambitions, you will fail this tutorial. I'll pursue vengeance for the assassination of my father, Philip. Okay, so we're going to keep moving towards the woods. Should probably get the warrior to have a general. You're the first to discover this landmark. What will you name it? The Fader River. I tend to like doing... I tend to just go for the automatic options on some of these, but if anybody does have any suggestions in chat, I am willing to entertain appropriate suggestions. Okay, so we completed the treasury in Syracuse. I think we were waiting for a specialist, so in this case... I can't really put any investment in terms of growth, so I think what I will do is I will get a stonecutter for the extra civics. Okay, now we're gonna... Well, I'll wait for the... I'm gonna wait on the worker, because again, I'm probably gonna wind up chopping trees forever. Actually, it might make some sense to try and build another worker because it looks like I can build roads as well. But in this case here, we'll build the mine. And we will continue to explore. Well, hang on. We've got enough space. Okay. So, really, the name of the game here is just to... chop down as many trees as I can to, at least until I can get a lumber mill. The Sipsalid family has converted to Greek paganism. I keep forgetting I need to take advantage of my my schmoozing. You're the first to discover this landmark. What will you name it? The Icaran Sea. Free bireme in 6 years. Well, and it's recommended too, so... obviously, it would have been nice to know about that a little earlier than I got. Extra half order a year seems pretty good. Let's start with that. We'll save them for last. So basically, I'm just going to dump my remaining orders into chopping down trees. Okay, what can I do in Pella? More specialists seems like the way to go here. And in Alexandria... we don't really have anything to build yet. Treasury is tempting. Yeah, you know what? For 5 years, we'll build a treasury. And then the remaining orders are just a question of how many trees we can cut down. I am a very, very big fan of this soundtrack, in case you haven't noticed. Let's just take a quick look. So it looks like my mineral wealth... Or sorry, not mineral... My metals, my iron is sort of the shortest. So we'll start by building a mine. We'll let the scout do its thing before I start spending points on... So yeah, I'm going to... Obviously, I want to use my scout as a scout, and then second, I'm going to use them to sort of claim whatever wealth I can. And then for the end of it, I'm just going to claim whatever trees I can get. Now, again, at some point I would prefer to... I'd prefer to have an extra worker so that I can start putting roads between my regions. But, I don't know, I'll figure that out eventually. You have completed the legacy of King Philip the Good, research navigation and train a Byreme. Duke Arabis is now old enough to be tutored by the courtiers. Alright, the Frugal has converted to Greek paganism. Okay, I absolutely need to remember to use the character screen. You look on proudly at as the first Byreme is rolled into the sea. The oars look like giant spider legs, and you watch as the Byreme glides quickly around the point. Continue working on the other ambitions. Investigation into Philip's assassination have found that the assassin fled south from Pella across the sea to a southern island. Use a Byreme to locate the island and then use a settler to found a city on that island. When a city reaches developing culture, it gains the ability to rush anything it is building. Depending on certain requirements, this will use different resources depending on the rush method. Each turn that an item is being produced normally by a city decreases the amount of resources needed to rush it. Rushing an item completes the item on the following turn, however there is always a discontent cost to rushing. To rush a settler, open Pella and then click the settler button while holding the control key to put one ahead of the queue. Then click the civics rush button under the settler build item. You may need to wait a few turns while the city produces the settler and decreases the amount of civics needed to rush it. When you can, rush the settler using civics. Next turn, when it becomes available, move the settler to the coast west of the Pindos Mountains. At the same time, move your Byreme to explore south of Pella to locate the southern island. Note you've been given a large amount of civics to assist you with this ambition. I will establish a city on the southern island. King Alexander the New has started a new ambition, found a 5th city on the southern island. Okay. So I don't see a lot of value in... rushing the settler until we actually know where we're going to put them. But that is obviously an ambition I'm going to work on. Like I said, I fail if I don't do all the ambitions. So. Syracuse, what do I want you to do? So we don't have any citizens to work with. We need 3 years for that. So building another treasury is mildly tempting, but I did say I wanted a worker to make roads to connect all of my cities. So let's build a worker here. Pella is going to be where the the settler gets built. So I'm not too worried about that. Queen Dowager Olympias, your mother, has converted to Greek paganism. Oh, damn it. I keep forgetting to do the care. Okay. Let's... Well, somebody's able to get tutored. Oh, maybe not. Okay, so apparently my wife doesn't like me. Let's start with that for influence. next up, let's start getting some conversions. And okay, so the patriarch doesn't care that much for me. All right, I probably should have done that before I tried to. I probably should have done that before I tried to make my wife like me. I'm not really sure I need the food from the sheep and the goats, but it's what's available. Okay, so Pella should be working on a settler now. And the deal here is I'm basically going to keep running. I'm going to keep running on the settler without boosting them until we know basically what we need to. Like, until we know where the city is. I'm assuming I need to use the Byreme to move them over, so at that point we'll rush the settler. But right now there's not a whole lot for me to work with. Probably food makes the most sense, but I don't have the orders for it. Oh, actually, sorry. In this case, I'll build a quarry just because I can. Duke Melidor the Insane, your brother is converted to Greek paganism. Not going to complain about that. Okay. This will help me with money. And we're just going to do the same routine. Grab as much as we can using the scout. Anchoring naval transportation. In Old World, units move from one side of a water body to the other via anchored ships. You do not load a unit onto a ship and then move the ship to the other side. Instead, an anchored ship has a radius to represent its possible transfer range. A land unit can then move from a coastal tile touching the ship's anchor radius directly to another coastal tile touching the radius. Move your Byreme to the tile marked red and anchor it. Then after one turn, move a settler from the marked coastal tile west of the Pindos Mountains to the marked coastal tile on the southern island. I will anchor my Byreme in the middle of the strait between the mainland and southern island so that my settler may cross to the southern island. Okay, it's going to need... there we go. Anchor. Oops. So obviously people are mad about that. We'll put on a festival. You've successfully exerted your influence upon Queen Consort Hipparchia. Queen Consort Hipparchia becomes influenced by King Alexander the New. And the game is recommending Polis. We don't have anything that will get thrown away, and monasticism is very expensive, so Polis is useful for both defending and expanding your cities. Building walls increases the HP of a city and can reduce discontent if you keep a unit from the same family stationed in the wall city. Hamlets are urban improvements that can be built anywhere within your territory. Over time, they will develop into villages and then towns, consuming food but providing increased yields of money, especially when built on your trade network. Okay, so we'll take our settler. That's actually pretty cool. I'm not going to force march him, but let's move my scout first. And it looks like I neglected to uncover that, so... Okay, we got a kind of a Byreme for free here, so I'll send it out just so I can say I did something. I'm kind of debating about what I want to build here. I think probably the trappers still make sense, but I have a feeling we're probably going to run behind the development of our infrastructure. Okay, so again, we're just gonna cut down as many trees as we can until the game yells at us. Prince Hippostratus is now old enough to be tutored by courtiers. Okay. apparently I don't have that option. Okay, well, I won't question it, but I do need to get on good terms with the religion. So we'll start by influencing. You've completed an ambition, found a 5th city on the southern island, plus 10 legitimacy. Alexander, the investigators looking into Philip's assassination, found the perpetrator on the southern island. Through questioning, they were able to ascertain the man comes from a tribe calling themselves the Thracians. He was waiting for a rescue boat to take him back to his homelands to the north of us. You should send a scout north of our cities to investigate and locate the Thracians. King Alexander the New has started a new ambition, find the Thracians to the north. Okay, so that gives me something to do with my scout. I think I'll focus on strike for these guys. You have located a Thracian settlement. The Thracians are a tribe and are more organized than barbarians. All of the tribe's settlements work together as one. You are able to conduct some diplomacy with the tribe, including peace treaties and tribal alliances. Whilst tribes do not have cities, their settlements will increase in strength and build new units. They may launch a tribal raid against neighboring cities, and, if they have a very bad opinion of you, may even organize a tribal invasion of many units to attack your cities. The Thracians make no secret that Philip's assassin came from them. They are taunting your units with war cries and battle displays. Vengeance for your father's death should be swift. Use all your mighty army to destroy the Thracian settlements. Declare war on the Thracians by attacking one of their units or settlements. I will destroy 2 Thracian settlements. King Alexander the New has started a new ambition, destroy 2 Thracian settlements. So this is going to be tricky as far as my orders are concerned, but you've completed an ambition, find the Thracians to the north. But we do have a lot of legitimacy, so we should also be seeing a lot of orders. So first thing I'm going to do here is use my scout to try and find the second settlement. That's going to buy me some time to move my units up. On to Pergamum. Let's build specialists while we can. We actually have lots of opportunities to do that, so money's nice. And as usual, we should start with a worker on every new city. You are now known as Alexander the Able. You've completed the legacy of King Philip the Good. Build the Oracle Wonder of the World. So I notice, I think you get half the legitimacy from the... just leave the remnants of your empire to your various lieutenants, yeah. Sorry, I didn't notice that message before. Irrepressible. The Oracle completed by Greece. Antipater the Schemer has converted to Greek paganism, and Antagonus has converted. Well done! Your people look on in awe at the oracle that you have built. It will stand for eternity as your legacy. I will continue to complete ambitions. So we have 2 more to do. Now, again, I keep forgetting to... the biggest thing that I'm forgetting to do is to handle all of these different... tasks. So... okay, that's fine. And then I think if we try and get someone to convert, it's not going to matter. Yeah, I gotta wait. Retiring general. Cyan the Deceitful, general of the warrior, is too old and is retired from the field. Okay, I'll say okay to that because I actually want to deal with... so again, I should be moving my army first, and ideally moving them kind of as a unit, if possible. kind of leaving my unit exposed, but you've successfully exerted your influence upon Patriarch Periander the Younger, but appear weak in the process. Okay. Not so good for my legitimacy, but that will hopefully get my... Okay, well, the Patriarch might just die. We'll still influence. Proceed with war preparations. Greece is now at war with the Thracians. So there should be some adjacency bonuses here. Oh, this is a good one. Okay, but now I need to... So the tricky part here is that there's Thracians somewhere on the map that I don't know where they are. So if they come out in force, I'm in a bit of trouble. Syracuse, what are you up to? Because we basically took our entire army, assuming that we would be able to take them out. So either Pergamum or Syracuse is exposed. Okay, so don't have any space for citizens right now. Normally I would build a treasury. Actually, I'm still going to build a treasury. And this is going to be the one that eventually builds the road, but clearly I have other things to do. Orders boom in Alexandria. Well, that's a nice problem to have. Well, not really a problem, but you know what I mean. Bingo. So I'm going to just make sure that there aren't any surprises for... Aha! Okay. So might as well go for another settler, I suppose. Well, start with a stonecutter. I do need to figure out where I'm going to get another settler from so that I can claim that city site, but... in the meantime... I'm going to do some simple things like build mines and make money. I will also start building some roads. So I think probably the best way for me to do this is just see what path... Oh, they go by water. Okay, that doesn't make as much sense then. Gee, they really want me to do a lot of wonders. Should have seen that coming. You successfully exerted your influence upon Oligarch Didyma the Greedy. Gorgo the Minister has died, and Cleomenes the Debauched has died. Okay. let's try and get on good terms with my successor. So first priority is going to be to get the... Oh. I thought I had a slinger. We'll just do our best with what we've got. Oh, right, it's the hill. Okay. I'm probably not going to be able to do much this turn then. So I'd love to get those resources, but... You are now known as Alexander the Just. Okay, Oligarch Stratonese the Orator has died. Oligarch Arete the Frugal is now head of the Kipslid family. Duke Arabes now has the Zealot trait. Okay, so the game's recommending military drill here. No temporary cards. So rally troops and oh, actually they talked about the barracks a couple times. Sorry, I'm really into the game now, but I'm kind of just saying out loud what actions I'm taking. I should be working a little more carefully on that. Okay. I've got a governor who I can make robust. So I get additional orders. Affable will improve the growth. That's in Syracuse, though, so it's not that cultured yet. Or I can make them slightly wiser. Let's go robust. Okay, let's keep working on this war. Alexander is you and the general of warrior, so they can become a tracker and engineer. I kind of feel like permanent status on the ruler is not a bad thing to have. So you've completed the ambition, destroy 2 Thracian settlements for 10 additional legitimacy. Well done, you have destroyed 2 Thracian settlements. You may continue the war or use your ambassador to sign a truce with the Thracians. Note, if you achieve this ambition quickly, diplomacy may still be on a cooldown. For a period of time after a diplomatic change, they will not entertain new proposals. The mission's tooltip will indicate this is the case when you try to send a new proposal. I will decide whether to continue the war with the Thracians or use my ambassador to sign a truce. As you search the ruins of the Thracian settlement, you find a hidden foreigner. Questioning reveals that they are from Rome. Those investigating into Philip's assassination question the Roman spy for days. In the end, they are successful. The spy confesses that he came from the west, from Rome, and paid the Thracians to send an assassin after Philip. It was the emperor's wish to see Philip dead. We must seek out these Romans to the west and destroy them. However, Rome is a major nation, just like us, so it will not be easy. I will find the Romans to the west. King Alexander the Just has started a new ambition, find the Romans to the west. Okay, so let's see if we can... Actually, you know what? We're just Alexander the Good. We're not great yet. Halo System Talk, this game looks very interesting and now haunts my wish list. Excellent to hear, Quint, 728th, your name. So this will be releasing on May the 19th, and I believe... so I'm not 100% sure exactly how Heroes of the Aegean is working, but I think they said something like if you have the game in the first 2 weeks, I believe you get that expansion. But the best thing to do is just see what's happening on Steam or Epic or GOG, wherever you're picking it up, and you can make your decisions there. Rasmus says, Old World is weird. You like it better than Humankind, but you're not sure if it's really better at being Civ than Civ is. Well, I don't know if this game's really trying to be Civ. I think I talked about this at the beginning, and I'll do my best to try and find the GDC talk. But there was this proposal at the very beginning of this project. Well, what seems to be the beginning of this project, back when it was called 10 Crowns, which was kind of talking about how different styles of game will tend to inherit certain design decisions which maybe to a certain extent may not even necessarily be the most appropriate. So like there's some things that you always assume just have to be part of the game. And it turns out that once you start questioning them, it become like you get to go to some interesting places. Again, this is Soren Johnson's obviously worked on Civilization 3 and 4. So, and he's got a wonderful interview with Sid Meier on Designer Notes. So I really can't hope to do the talk justice. But I thought it was a very interesting one. And I think that's one of the reasons why Old World is the way that it is. Because like if you think of it, I don't personally like okay, so I'll put it to you this way. I think there's a lot of value in being able to describe games in the light of other games, because it's a shorthand that allows us to just understand what everybody's talking about. But it's also true that games sort of stand on their own. So for instance, when I talk about, and you can make this argument about genre too, right? Like obviously it's helpful to have genres because it puts it sort of in a box as to whether or not this will be interesting. If I say visual novel, I think everybody in chat is going to have a decision as to whether or not they're into that. And likewise, if I say real-time strategy, I think there's going to be maybe a different group of people that will decide whether or not they're into that. But of course, it can be limiting as well. And one of the things that I've tended to notice in some game discussions will be that, one, sometimes it doesn't quite do justice to the game. So for instance, if I describe Industries of Titan as, a city builder, it's kind of like, SimCity, but it's kind of like Command and Conquer, but it's kind of like, or Phantom Brigade, it's kind of like Frozen Synapse. That's fine. That kind of helps people understand what's going on, or like Into the Breach. But of course, it doesn't necessarily communicate that it is very much its own thing. Just kind of like Old World is its own thing, although it absolutely is a new 4X game. And so with that in mind, this is just a huge scaffolding for a point that I'm trying to make. Like, what are some of the things... I'm sorry, the other reason why I kind of dislike comparison directly to games is that when people are talking about their ideas for things, right? So, if they're really excited about a particular game idea and they want to share, hey, I want to, I'm going to do this, game idea, let's say. One of the drawbacks can be, sometimes maliciously, but oftentimes people just trying to be helpful will say, oh, so it's kind of like Dungeon Keeper, or oh, so it's kind of like, and then what happens is all the enthusiasm for that project kind of deflate. You can see this with some people. Like, you can see all of their enthusiasms deflated because this thing that they're very excited down has been reduced to this, oh, well, that already exists. And sometimes I think where that comes from is people, they're trying to communicate an understanding, but what it's happened is that it's been kind of this reductive view of this thing that someone is excited by. And that can sometimes be, obviously you don't want people to be too fragile, but on the other hand, creativity is something that you want to nurture. And so with that in mind, that was just a big kind of ramp up that I was for this point here. Like, what are some of the things that I can talk about in terms of this game that it's, drawn from? Well, obviously there is sort of the foundation of the 4X genre, and obviously the monument, the thing that you kind of have to acknowledge if you're going to work in this space is Civilization. But obviously the individual character elements, you can say they're RPG elements, but I think the thing that most people are going to examine here will be Crusader Kings, right? The way that you can assign different characters to different roles and you can individually influence them. Now, it's not a full-on simulation like Crusader Kings. This is definitely a much more simplified kind of system of managing your kingdom. But it's definitely present, and definitely the managing of factions and trying to make sure that you're able to operate in your own space. And the fact that you are actually going to need to dedicate resources towards managing your council, managing the people who are influential in your empire, I think is definitely a big influence there. was another point I was talking about. I didn't want to just reduce it down to paradox stuff. It's Mondays. It's apparently I've got paradox on the brain. There's another big one that I wanted to point out, and then I lost it. I actually feel like a bit of a moron failing to do that. In any case, so forgive me for not going. I wanted to go into a little bit more detail in terms of just a few of the things that I think this picked up. But I think the thing that's nice about this is that the best way I could describe Old World is actually the story of George Gershwin and Maurice Ravel. So apparently Gershwin had this tremendous respect and admiration for the composer Ravel. And of course, Gershwin is an incredibly talented composer in his own right. He's actually somebody who successfully seems to have operated both inside the classical sphere as well as the, as well as more popular music, Tin Pan Alley, advertising, that sort of stuff. And so I think in this particular case here, so the story is that apparently Gershwin was very insistent to try and get some kind of instruction from Ravel. And I think Ravel eventually said to him, why would you be a second-rate Ravel when you can be a first-rate Gershwin? And I think to a certain extent, this can sometimes be the trap that certain types of games will fall into. Why would you be a second-rate Civilization when you can be a first-rate Old World? Why would you be a second-rate, Warhammer 40k Gladius when you can be Civilization when you can be a first-rate Warhammer 40k Gladius? And obviously some games succeed in this space better than others. And it's also fair to say that Civilization has benefited from some of the innovations that other companies have brought in. So I'm actually very happy with the Amplitude games. But I have to wonder whether or not you would see sort of the decoupling of cities, sort of the spreading out of the cities in Civilization 6 if Endless Legend never happened. There's and the other thing too is that you can actually see inside of Old World some of the things. I got a chance to read Sid Meier's memoir, and it's interesting because he talked about the original plan for the tech tree being something that was randomized for each playthrough. And one of the things about Civilization that wasn't working originally was the fact that it was a randomized tech tree, because players were always looking for gunpowder, and they wanted to get to gunpowder, and they didn't necessarily like the fact that there would be different paths to go down these things. And so that's something that's been true, except for maybe the Frontier Pass. Actually, the Frontier Pass is kind of neat, where it seems like in Civilization 6, they finally actually brought back in a lot of the stuff that, if you read that memoir, the original Civilization game didn't have in. But what you can actually see in Old World, it's got a deck system. Oh, that was the other influence I wanted to talk about, Twilight Struggle. So I don't know if Twilight Struggle was an influence of this or not, but obviously the tech tree is a lot more like that original system for Civilization. Now, does it work, is the big question. I think one thing that works for Old World is the fact that it's actually really focused in this one fixed period of time. And I don't know if the tech tree, a randomized tech tree, the way that Old World does this, would maybe be the same for a game that has a much larger scope. So that might be something that allows it to work through. Or maybe it's just simply run it in a... maybe it's just found a new way of doing it. So in terms of Twilight Struggle, in the Cold War, certain events are going to happen. So the Berlin airlift, well, I guess the Berlin airlift may or may not happen depending on how you deal with the embargo. But the Russians are going to try and cut off the western side of the city, and you're going to need to figure out how you do that. If you don't set aside the resources, you are going to get caught in a really tough situation. Part of the strategy of Twilight Struggle can be holding certain cards back so that they wind up in the deck at a point, as far from a reshuffle as possible, so you deny your opponent that particular card for even longer. But of course, that also means that you can't take certain actions because you're holding, or maybe you have to take certain actions early because you're holding on to something. So that might be something that makes the tech tree work, which is something that you kind of assume is always going to be in a 4X game, but actually didn't need to be. I think the way that Old World does technology is a really interesting one, because you do sort of have these eras, but you're given the opportunity to research a technology. And so to me, it's sort of, you can kind of think of it almost in terms of the greatest minds of the civilization are sort of focused on a particular set of tasks. And so there's a certain path dependency in terms of the way that they are thinking about problems. And so it doesn't mean that they're forever shut out from that particular development, but it does mean that it's going to kind of require a generation of, kind of reevaluating maybe some old ideas or some things that weren't done before. That's at least how I kind of work it out in my head. So to bring it back to your original point, like, I think in the case of Old World, it's hard not to talk about civilization in this game. And, even just because of, Mohawk's past experience with this. Well, I should say Soren Johnson. Soren Johnson, obviously founder of Mohawk, but Mohawk is clearly more than one person. It's very hard for it to operate outside of civilization. But I also think that any game that just tries to be a civilization is going to wind up being an also-ran, because Civ is amazing. So it is D-Pain. Thank you very much for the raid. Sorry, I was monologuing because Erasmus made a really interesting point here. So let me just catch up really quick. That's understandable, but not sure you can escape the comparison, especially when you're introducing a new idea. You're naturally going to refer to some kind of existing context. Yeah. I mean, so I didn't mean to be too critical. Like, all I wanted to just sort of acknowledge was that this way of talking about games in terms of referring to other ones is very useful in some senses, but can also, I think in the end, because I'm talking about that talk regarding the influences, either acknowledged or unacknowledged, I just wanted to sort of plant a flag to that idea that sometimes it can put you down certain paths that don't necessarily lead you to the most fulfilling conclusion about a game, I guess. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, again, I'm certainly not gonna just kind of go out there as like, nobody's allowed to talk about other games. That's terrible. But yeah, D-Pain, thank you very much for the host, and Haley as heck. Thanks for the stream. Oh, sorry, that was for D-Pain. Thank you all for coming by. How many of you know about? How many of you guys know about Old World? Nothing you've said is wrong. I'm mostly saying that if you held me hostage in order for me to describe this game, you'd say it's Civilization plus Crusader Kings in the Iron Age. Yeah, for sure. And I'm not. Yeah, I would not beat you with cement-filled milk jugs for describing it that way. That would give me a pretty good idea of what was going on. But as I said, like, it'd be very weird of me to talk about how I first found out about this game through that talk that he gave, and then not at least acknowledge the relevance to the discussion that we were having. Hey, mate. Yeah, well, gotta let people know you mean business, right? D-Pain, what were you streaming tonight? Well, if you're still around, I mean, I know when I monologue, I sometimes miss out. You know nothing about this game except that I'm playing it. Okay, well, how much do you like turn-based strategy? Ah! All right, I guess we are going to have to try and get that truce. And we're looking for the Romans to the west. Now, there aren't really that many places for me to check. I will finish off. That was mostly just so I could say that I did my due diligence. We'll still chop down trees. That may not be the most important thing I could be doing right now, but... Doing some cooking, and then played an indie game called Ravenous Devils. I guess that's appropriate given the cooking. He played a few turn-based strats. So I know I've seen you play Age of Wonders Planetfall. I've seen you play Endless Legend, which I think we might have been talking about when you arrived mid-rant. trying to remember the others. So here I'm just building the farms are just because it'll boost my growth rate. Now I do need to be careful about the Thracians. We'll see how the peace deal turns out. I'd love to expand out to these, but obviously I got some work ahead of me. It actually might make sense for me to try and maybe I should just get my soldiers back to their cities to defend. You've successfully exerted your influence upon Prince Hippostratus, but appear weak in the process. Ambassador Timea the Younger has died in office. Are the Thracians responsible? Olikok Dirtis, the schemer, is now head of the Seleucid family. Again, apologies if I'm mispronouncing these. And Duke Erebas, your brother third in line, has a great deal of sympathy and concern for others. He is compassionate. Ambassador Timea the Younger, our ambassador, has died in office. Let's pick a new ambassador, hopefully one that won't... Ooh, we've actually got some really good choices here. So it's a shame that we're losing the general, but... Actually, you know what? We'll take Nicapsulus the Younger. It's the same effect on religion, and we're strong enough to be able to take out the Thracians. Okay, let's go back to influencing people. So first of all, can I get... Where's the Patriarch? Trying to get in good with the... Okay. Duchess Consort Arete is my way to... So this is kind of neat that I'm learning how to scheme my way through the court. So let's find the... So we'll run that influence. Okay. Start with a quarry. We'll save that unit. We'll save these units for later. We'll throw rocks till the peace conference. That's a terrible use of orders, actually. Yeah, I think I just... Yeah. I messed up. Alright. Alexandria. So let's add the stonecutter for the extra civics. I don't think it hurts to build some defensive units at this point. So we'll start with a warrior. I'll figure the rest out. Duke Erebus still feels fear, as does any sane man, but he never lets it stop him. He has gained 1 courage. And Nikas the Orator has converted to Greek paganism. So we're still working on the peace conference. Okay, so we're going to be looking for the Romans. I could try and force march it. Actually, in this case, I think that makes sense. Found him. Ambition completed. Well done, you have found the Romans. Alexander rides to the border and from a safe distance observes these Romans. They are well developed, cultured, and technologically advanced, a major nation like us. However, Alexander vows to ensure that Greece is ready to face the Romans, and then they will be crushed. All of Greece cries out for revenge. You are now known as Alexander the Strong. You completed the ambition. Find the Romans to the west, +10 legitimacy. Ave Imperator, you have grown Greece from its early beginnings into a major nation. You have experienced war with Thracians and met the Romans, another major nation. In this tutorial, you learned how to rule and expand into a powerful nation. In the next tutorial, you will learn how to conduct a large-scale war with a major nation. It says I'm ready, but I am actually 45 minutes over my usual time, and it's getting close to midnight, so I'd actually kind of like to get a bit of feedback from everyone in terms of this stream. So I've spent a bit more time on these tutorials than I was originally intending. I would, if I can, like to try and do a stream tomorrow. Failing that, I will definitely try and do a stream this week. I feel like on Thursday. Oh man, yeah, this is tricky actually because Phantom Brigade is getting its update, so that would normally be Wednesday. Okay, so if I've got a few days before this thing is released on Thursday. If I were to do another stream, so if I were to save tutorial 5 for the start of the next stream, and then we would move into another, if we were to move into a proper campaign, either the Rise of Carthage, or maybe a standalone scenario, or, just a new straight, ordinary game. Oh, whoa, whoa. There we go. I don't know. Would people be okay with that? Is there interest in Old World? I'm hoping there's interest in Old World because I really want to play a lot more of this. And I have a couple of things I'd specifically like to show you in this. But I don't think I'm going to be able to get this tutorial, based on the time that it's taken me between 3 and 4, to focus on, given the time that's taken me to do 3 and 4, I don't think I'm going to get number 5 done in any reasonable amount of time and still be able to work tomorrow. So if I were to add some extra streaming days this week, would there be interest in seeing some more Old World, or should we just kind of keep with the same schedule? I am thinking of making Old World the replacement for Stellaris, because if Overlord doesn't happen, then I'd much rather show off games that are interested in me sort of playing them, right? And I'm very interested in this game, and I think once people are able to sort of experience the game for themselves, that might even make for some more interactivity inside of chat. So I put it to you this way. Do you want to see more Old World, or if you feel particularly strong about not wanting to see Old World, I feel I'd be equally interested in that. Like if for some reason somebody doesn't want to see it, and yeah, Irrepressible, I definitely don't take this as as an attendance thing. I'm just kind of interested in terms of people's general feeling about this, because obviously I've taken some time showing how I'm sort of getting a refresher with the game. There's definitely new stuff that I learned as part of this. I actually think I quite like this tutorial because you notice there were some questions that I had in part 3 that got answered by number 4. And so I feel like once I go into a main campaign, I'm gonna have some really clear ideas of what I want to try and accomplish. But I also don't want to make if I could, I'd like to do more strategy games overall on the stream. But I also want to make sure that I'm not. I want to make sure I'm not pushing too hard on one thing that I would personally really like to play on my own time. So we'll definitely do more Old World, but if I were to add extra days, I just kind of want to make sure that people are interested in enough. Felix Bigley, thank you very much. And yeah, I know a lot of you also like to lurk, so I'm sorry for dragging everybody. Sorry for dragging everybody out, but I just because Like, essentially, I'll put it to you this way. Normally, when I add extra days, it takes a lot out of me, and I know I'm going to have a weekend full of recording a lot of videos. So it's going to mean a bit of a heavier week for me, but this is a game that I'm interested in enough to be willing to do that. So, but the one thing I don't want to do is like really wear myself out and then have everybody be like, meh, old world, you know, it's cool to watch and play, but I don't think I'm going to play it myself. Like, obviously, then, you know, that makes sense to just keep it as part of the regular schedule. But looks like people are enthusiastic enough about Old World. I'm really sorry that I didn't get through the whole tutorial. That was that's more on me for not managing my my monologue so much. But thank you all for being a really good audience about this. Oh. I'm not quite sure how to get this to 144, so I think if I do VSync, that should cover me. And sound without focus. Yes, we get to hear this wonderful soundtrack. Oh, one other thing I will say. I don't know. Oh, that's such a shame. Yeah, so some of these psalms, like obviously I'm playing this with the recording and streaming mode. It's a real shame that you didn't get to hear a couple of these in here, because it's definitely something that I really that was definitely something that I really enjoyed listening to as I was tooling around in this. Okay, let's find somebody to host. To all of you who came from D-Pain stream, I'm sorry to send you off to another streamer. I will just take a quick second here. I will mention that Hooded Horse very kindly gave me a Steam key for broadcasting this game. Now, I have actually got this game through Epic, but I think it's good to just because I'm going to be talking a bit about. Basically, I'm talking a bit about how interesting this game is and the developer and all of that. I think it'd not be a bad idea for me to just mention that interest there in terms of the publisher. I am actually really interested in a lot of stuff that Hooded Horse is going to be releasing. So I'm a Kickstarter backer on Terra Invicta, but a couple of other ones that I noticed that they're working on and I added to my wish list, Alliance of Sacred Sons, and is it Espocracy? Those were two that kind of caught my eye. And I'd actually really love to know where the heck they came from, because it seems like they're really working on a lot of, on publishing a lot of really interesting strategy games, including, of course, one that I already knew about, which is, of course, Old World. But I kind of want to know how they came into existence. Anyways, that's a conversation for another time. I'm going to take some time here and find someone to host. And actually, of course, because I mentioned the link. So I put the Steam link in there for those of you who are interested in wish listing. But it also gives me a quick chance to say thank you to Hooded Horse for the key and giving me a great excuse to play this game again. And on top of that, I'm particularly grateful for Mohawk adding the streaming mute. Okay, now unfortunately nobody is playing Old World right now, so that makes me a little bit sad. And I actually don't know too many people streaming right now, but I do notice that Terran Rogue, is it Rogue or Rouge? Terran Rogue. Oh, actually no, sorry, Octavian. Octavian Zero is playing Path of Exile, and it's been a while since I've been able to see him. So I realize this is a little bit of a change of pace. I'm sorry that I can't take you to the Sublime again with Old World, but Octavian Zero is a friend of the Eyes of Sin, the provider of these lovely emotes inside of chat right here, and he is definitely a very talented Path of Exile streamer. And Path of Exile is definitely a very flashy game, so I will leave you in his capable hands. He's one of these people who actually makes a living doing streaming. As for me, I am definitely going to do Phantom Brigade sometime this week. Their Tactical Tuesday is tomorrow. Wednesday's the normal day that I do Phantom Brigade, but obviously I'm going to try and add some extra streams this week for Old World. I believe Thursday Mohawk Games is going to be doing a special stream, so that's going to include Soren and Layla Johnson, Maddie, and a couple of other names that I didn't recall offhand in terms of broadcasting of the game. I think that's twitch.tv/Mohawk Games, but I'll let you search for that because I don't want to direct you to the wrong place. And I don't know, I'll try streaming on Thursday when the thing comes out, but I suspect a number of you are probably going to be enjoying the game on your own. Or you'll probably be enjoying the Mohawk stream. So I'll do my best, but we'll see what we're doing. And for those of you wondering why I was not going to do Starflight on Friday, this was the reason why. We're going to be playing Old World on Friday for sure. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Enjoy Octavian. Have a lovely evening.